Welcome to Journey Through the Gate, your paranormal portal podcast, as we delve into the many questions and wonders brought on by the supernatural experience. What's on the other side of the gate? Let's find out together. Oh, shoot. Welcome to the Hot Mess Express, everybody. I thought I had it. It was still on a loop. Hello, all you wonderful gatekeepers. I hope your vibe is lifted and you saw those cute animals. Welcome in. We've got new equipment and now we have an echo. Let's see if I can fix that. That's fixed. We're going to be knocking out all kind of bugs tonight, but I'll tell you what. We have one of the best guests this channel has ever had, and somebody I am so glad to call friend. And I'm so glad to call each and every one of you friend. And I don't know which monitor to look at. I'm still getting used to all this stuff. Bear with me. Hello. Are you kidding me? Gray Wolf, Donnie Cho. How you doing out there tonight? Uncommon Belief, Glenn Dennison, Jilly Doom. Oh my goodness. So many people in here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tonight we have a wonderful guest. As I said, Ted, welcome. And Edna, how you guys doing? I hope you like the music. Welcome in, Forensic Mystics. Hello, hello, hello. I saw Dark Woods in here. Welcome, welcome. And to all you gatekeepers in there and all our wonderful mods, thank you so much. Vixen Doe, hello, darling. Thank you so much for tonight. And Maraid, our beautiful mermaid, hello. I'm counting on you guys to welcome in all our new listeners, answer any questions that we have tonight. If you could put them up in, all caps or put a Q in front of it or something like that. So I know it's a question, because I'm going to be paying attention to Rob. When Rob and I get together, I really get to dig in. This is, I'm not going to give you the normal intro that most people give for Rob. Yes, he's an author, wonderful author, over 10 books. I think he's at 10 now. If I know Rob, if 10 is out, he's working on 11. He is one of the most wonderful human beings I have ever met. And I think the reason is he's so close to animals and their spirit and their love and their depth of loyalty and unconditional connection to our soul. Yeah, I got tears in my eyes, because if you're not connected with nature, if you're not connected with the tiniest sparrow, or you don't feel something when a neighbor walks a dog past. I always want to say hi to the dog and not so much the neighbor, but that's me. I always do the dog first and then the neighbor, But this is one of the, when I first heard Rob's voice, and again, just like Lynn and a few other people that I've had on the show, I connected immediately into his energy. And God, what a beautiful soul. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend, Rob Gutro. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Hi, honey.
I don't know how I can follow that intro up, but I'll do my best.
I mean every bit of it. It's wonderful to have you back on. It's been too long. I think the last time we had you on was around this time, and I think it's so important this time of year, because everybody is missing someone or missing a pet. You and I both been through this. So many people listening have been through this. And I think that the animals touch us so deeply, because we're not sure if they understand how we feel. When I think, Rob, they understand more than we know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, they do. Actually, one of the studies that just came out this past summer was about cats, and it revealed that cats actually take in a lot more than we thought they did. They take in a lot more information.
Yes. So true. And Rob has been there with me through my recent loss of Dickens McGee. And this year, this is our first Christmas. I don't want to say without him. He's just in a different form at this point. And
Mhm.
I kind of said to him yesterday, I said, honey, I know you're not going to be here in physical form for us this Christmas, but you just moved to the top of the tree because now you're my angel. So now he's right at the top of the tree where he always wanted to get. Tried for 17 years to get to the top of that tree and he made it. So, it's all in how you look at it. And Rob, the book, if you don't mind, 3 sentences from the book with your kind permission, if you
Sure.
don't mind, if you
No,
don't
no,
mind. The
please.
new book is if you want to tell them a little bit about it, it's out now or available soon. Pre-order?
Um, so it's on pre-order right now for with Kindle, but the paperback is available January 10th.
Fantastic,
Mhm.
fantastic. And it is it's Pets in the Afterlife 4,
Yeah.
and it's mainly it's cat spirits. Now, Rob has told us difference between ghosts and spirits before. It's the same as I feel. If you're earthbound, you're a ghost. If you've crossed over and you made that transition, you're more of a spirit. You agree,
Mhm.
Rob? I know that's a
Absolutely.
simplistic way of saying a very complicated thing, but I think that's what we do to this whole subject. We make it so complicated. It really is so simple and natural, in a
Yeah.
lot of ways. But from the wonderful book, right out of chapter 1, when a pet companion passes, the sense of loss can be emotionally and mentally crippling to us. I know. I have lost 4 precious dogs, 3 to old age and another as a puppy in a horrible accident. In this brief chapter, I explain why this sense of loss is so deep. Whenever I give lectures on how pets communicate from the afterlife, I explain the deep sense of loss using scientific studies because, well, I'm a scientist. That's something I didn't say. Rob is also a scientist. So you've got both um, sides here. And
Mhm.
I think you've combined them wonderfully because you're looking at it in a logical way. But then there's these things that keep happening, Rob, these spirits that keep coming back, loved ones, because Rob also communicates with human spirits as well. He's a full-fledged medium. And but I think it's the pets, like I said, that get us. And kind of getting used to how they communicate with us from the other side, because I think we struggle with how they communicated in life as well, Rob. So was it that a thing that I know Sprite helped you? If you'd like to tell us a little bit how you developed understanding how animals communicate with you and with us.
Sure. So when for those who don't know me, I've been able to communicate with people who passed since I was about 13 when my grandfather scared me. But yeah, and he had passed 7 months before. But in 2005, my puppy Buzz passed away. And Buzz is over here, actually, behind me on the cover of Pets in the Afterlife 1.
Yep, there he
Buzz,
is.
Buzz was killed by a car in a tragic accident. And he began to share with me immediately different ways that he was communicating with me. So when that happened, I used to keep a journal, and so I journaled everything. And then years later, um, about 4 years later, he made me realize that he was still coming through, and he made me realize that other people need to know how their pets come through so that they can find some comfort. And that's how I came to write my first book. But pets will give us signs the way that they lived, the same habits. They'll go to the same places in the house. They'll do similar things, and I find that a lot out with cats. I think you're on mute.
I am. Sorry, guys. Just getting used to all this equipment. Everything's in a different spot. But I think that again, that's what confuses us, because I think this last thing that I went through with Mr. Dickens, the whole thing, the whole process, it's everything you can imagine. 2 weeks off from work, staying
Mhm.
home, us in a room, just like you spent with another. I forget the name of the pet that you spent that had. Was that Sprite that had the pneumonia? And then you stayed with
That was
him in
that was Buzz, actually.
Buzz. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Well, there's four of them. So,
well, hearing about that, I connected with that because I know so many people that have, if you were unlucky enough to have to do it, but lucky enough to be able to take the time to spend that passing over, helping them pass over, really,
mhm.
because they're losing, and helping them keep their dignity throughout, and seeing, is there anything else that can be done, if it can, and then coming to that point where you have to make that decision. I think you and I have spoke about that before, how it's so hard, but you've had so many come back and say, please don't feel that way. That's been kind of the universal thing. You did the right thing for me. And I think that's one of the hardest things. If you'd like to speak on that a little, let's just get it out of the way right out front, because that's the hardest thing for us as pet parents. And, you know,
To make the decision to help them cross over.
mhm,
Yeah, that really is traumatic. I mean, when you think about it, as humans, with other humans, we don't really have that opportunity to help people pass out of pain. I think there are 3 states that allow you to do that on the Pacific, but for the most part, with pets, it takes a lot of courage, and it takes really unselfish love, and that's the lesson that they teach us. That's why they're here. So, and it's very traumatic, of course, because we feel responsible 100% for them. So when they pass, it really, I mean, to me, it almost felt like I was letting them down. But they know that we're not. They know that we are going through emotional turmoil because, as you know, Cisco, cats or dogs, any pet can read our emotions. They know when you're happy, when you're sad, when you're mad at them, when you need attention. So they also read the emotions when we are going through the turmoil of making that decision to
mhm.
help them
And
cross
when
over.
you're in pain, cats, I hate, separating cats from dogs, but there really is characteristics in different, and there's not one more than the other. It's just that one that they specialize in a little bit better than a cat might specialize in this better than a dog. A dog might specialize something in this, but they have so
Mhm.
many similarities as far as being able to read our emotions. And, cats almost, and a lot of dogs as well, will almost pull out the sad emotions, almost like they're taking them from you. I remember not too long ago, a couple of years ago, I had a couple of teeth extracted, and I remember coming home when you finally get that, oh, I'm finally home and I'm able to do whatever I have to do next, and that relax. And here comes Mr. Dickens, crawled right up, laid on my chest, looked at me, and put his paw right on my mouth and just looked at me in the eye. Now you
Uh,
tell me they don't understand.
yeah,
So when somebody like that passes, I'm going to tell you a couple of things about Mr. Dickens, and then Rob can jump in and tell us some of the stories that might be similar. I thought that might be interesting, if you had something that might work with, because I noticed some of the stories in the books were similar to the things that he's done. And it was almost like, I don't want to say you expect them. It's just I knew in life he was such a bombastic soul that I
mhm.
knew going out he was going to be doing some things. So I shared with Rob when Rob and I first connected on one of my other podcasts. He sent me a few things. He sent me a T-shirt and some wonderful cards and a book and some other things in the mail. And I opened them all up and I laid them on the table and I took a picture just to show, hey, everything arrived. This was so kind. Thank you for sending this. Right before I clicked the picture, Mr. Dickens jumps up on the table and stands right in front of it like he's going to pose in the middle of it. And I said, "Rob, that picture." And I said,
Yeah,
"I guess he wants to say hi,
yeah.
He's connecting with you." But you see, they do stuff like that and they put it out in the universe. And it's almost like, I can't say they're going to know in the future they're going to use it, or it was available for them to use it as a memory, if you know what I'm saying.
Mhm.
Because the day we had a home burial, and the vet came to the house. It was as horrible it was as beautiful as it could be. I don't know how else to put it. So the next day I go to walk around the house looking for a place to put him, and I found the spot exact. And I just reached in my drawer and I grabbed a t-shirt and I put it on. Wasn't paying any attention. I was emotionally basket case. And as we are saying his poem, we played Happy Together, which was, I want to say it was one of his favorite songs, but that's kind of what we sang together. Played that. We all danced around to lift the vibration and everything. And I opened up my sweat jacket and I looked, and the t shirt I had on was Rob's t shirt.
Oh my gosh.
So, and I had no idea because I just grabbed it out of a drawer of white t shirts. And I messaged Rob and I said, expect to get a message from this young man because, again, he's connecting with Rob. The 2-3 days after, Rob, we're all getting, everybody that was close to him was getting like a visual imprint. I don't know how to say it, like a picture imprint in our minds, showing a
Mhm.
picture of him wearing different kinds of hats. Strangest thing I've ever heard. All of us are at work. You see, we're different going about our day, and all of a sudden,
Mhm.
just out of nowhere, boom. Mario got him. Mario had said after his little funeral memorial service, had said, that is the most intellectual, smartest cat I've ever known in my entire life. And at work in the middle of a busy day, he shows up with a Sherlock Holmes hat and a pipe to Mario. And
Okay.
right away, Mario thought, I know, right? It's weird. But
Mhm.
Mario thought, intellectual. He must have heard me. That was
Yeah.
his intuition. Mine was he was in a top hat and kind of a ruffled, like a very worn, well loved top hat. And I have a sticker that I have for my show that says, if you're going to go, go in style. And it's crispy with a top hat and also the Dickens. So I felt like he was saying, Mom, I went in style.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I felt. And I
Mhm.
don't know if other cats or dogs have given impressions like that to someone who's, not, I would say not everybody's a medium, but everybody has intuitiveness. What are your
Mhm.
thoughts on that?
I think certainly they can. Usually
Hats.
through, yeah, usually they do it through dreams, I think,
Wow.
but sometimes you may see like a photograph or online an image of a cat that resembles your cat that may have
Mm.
maybe wearing something or maybe standing in front of something to let you know that they're okay.
Mhm, mhm. I thought too of, your little spirit guy. I think it was the little Weimaraner who on an anniversary of their birthday or their anniversary of their death, I can't remember which,
Mhm.
actually you had taken a turn and saw another dog just like that, and it made you think of your dog and then check the date. The
Yeah,
little
that's
things they do.
yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely right. So, yeah, on the anniversary of their passing, on the anniversary of their birthday, or their adoption, you may see some kind of sign, and one of them is a visible sign that may
Mm,
remind you that they're with you. And Cisco, that was in Puerto Rico. I
mhm,
remember that distinctly, just
mhm,
because Buzz um, uh, steered me down one particular street.
mm,
And at the end of the street, there was a dog walker, and the dog walker had a whole bunch of dogs, all little, except for one was a medium-sized dog, a Weimaraner that looked just like Buzz. And Buzz told me in my head, he said, "Dad, it's the day that I passed 4 years ago." So so
it
that will
it's
happen.
amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing because animals are doing the same thing as human spirits do with coins,
Mhm.
with the date, with music. I know they've used music. Since his passing, outside I did this big wrought iron, like a candle holder, and it's got like a battery operated large pillar candle in it. And because I'm crazy and I just wanted to do it, so I put it out there, and I knew the batteries were only going to last a short while. It's a timer. And of course it rained right after. It was raining when we did it, and I knew it was going to go out, but I wanted to have a light.
Mhm.
So this thing goes out. It rains for 2 days, maybe more, off and on. I mean, the batteries are gone. And I go by and I tell him, I love you, brother. I'm thinking about you. And I go back in, turn around, close the door, candles lit. Thanksgiving, the candles lit. There's 2-3 weeks of things sitting out there with batteries.
Wow.
Now, either it's him or it's my spirit guide or somebody, one of my loved ones, doing that to give me encouragement. But either way, it's a message of love that somebody's listening and somebody's there supporting you. And I see so many people talk themselves out of it. It made me feel better. I
Mhm.
couldn't have made it up. I didn't, This has happened to others that have gone by the candle too. This has been since October 14th. Those batteries are, you know what I mean? It's just, in the rain and everything, the cold, and to be able to do that just for a brief moment, just to say, I heard you, or whatever, little things like that. And like we said, music too, right, Rob?
Yeah, music is absolutely another way that pets can communicate. Of course, they get some help from humans when it comes
Hmm.
to music, but um, one of the examples in my Pets in the Afterlife 4 book was about a cat, and as I was doing the reading for this cat, um, the the cat said to me, "Hello from the other side,"
Mm,
and when I remember typing the reading because I do them by email, not I don't do them by phone, but I typed it out and I sent it to the pet mom, the cat mom, and I said, "This makes me think of Adele because that was one of her signature songs," and I just thought it was odd because I I wasn't even thinking of it. I hadn't a thought about it. So she wrote me back and she said, "I love Adele,"
mhm,
and she said she wrote me back like I don't know a couple of hours later, and she said, "After I read your email, I had to get my kids in the car to take them to some practice. And she
mm.
said, I turned on the radio, and on the radio was the song Hello from the Other Side by Adele." And she said she just totally was shocked. And
Mm.
that was a message from her cat.
It absolutely floors you, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And with that, the whole thing with the hat thing, it was, he specifically came back and found a way to portray, or like I said, I have no way of proving it was him. I felt it was him, but it could also be a loved one or a spirit guide or their
Mhm,
spirit guide. Everybody works together sometimes, but it's so not, it's so within his personality to pull something like that, to find a way to come back to say something specific to each person, like before he crossed. Something else. Now, this is so hard, and if it was anybody but Rob, I wouldn't even attempt this. But I'm going to say it here because I shared it with you guys a couple of weeks ago because I wanted everybody to understand. We lost Dickens on the 14th. Now, I did something that looked like it was selfish, but I think it was one of the most unselfish things I think I ever did. And it was not really as much for me as it was for him because I was grieving so hard. It was like you could drive a freight train through my chest, the hole in my chest. I mean, ask my family, I was like a banshee and a wood chipper because I'm also Native American. We believe in primal screaming. Just get it out. Just get it out. And I mean, my friend was ripped from me. I mean, I was lost. And I wandered for a couple of weeks until I said, I'm going to do it because the number one thing is do not deny something else love because
mhm,
you don't want to go through the pain again. There's so many lives out there that need a chance at love and a chance at being loved, just snuggled, for the rest of their lives, the best life you could provide them. And I also know that the grief, I was trying not to hold him back and not let him be so worried about me because I was just so bad off, so bad off. So we went and adopted two babies from the pound who had been born in the pound, never saw the outside of well, the cage in the room, but not this facility. And I was going through thousands and thousands of pairs of eyes. Basically, that's what you're looking at, the soul, the little soul, which animals
mhm.
have. Rob and I will tackle you at the ankles if you say an animal doesn't have,
Yeah,
and I'll bite him. I don't know if Rob will. I can't speak for Rob, but he'll be there with me.
I'll hold them down while you bite them.
I feel. So I go and I adopt these, and I just saw the face, and I said, "Well, it can't be that this little face is going to be near me, less than 20 miles." And this is Pet Finder, could have been anywhere.
Mhm.
I called the lady up on a Saturday afternoon. Do you still have Patrick? That was his name at the pound. She says, "Yes, I still do." I said, "I need you to go face, get eyes on, make sure you have him." Yes, set up an appointment next day on a Sunday. It was Halloween day. And I said, does he have a brother that he's attached to or a sister? Yes, he does. He's very connected to. I said, tell him, I'll take them both. Tell him mama's coming. I was there by 1 o'clock. We had them spoiled rotten. I don't know how they ain't any fur left on them. That is not to replace
Yeah.
my Dickens. That is to try and fill some of the hole so I could let the grief go a little, let the love start healing by healing and loving something else, so he could be lifted and free to do whatever his little job is and whatever he's doing over there, because they don't just sit idle, do they, Rob?
No, they absolutely do not. But
But you
so
understand what I just said. It
yeah,
makes sense.
absolutely. Yeah. So I'm sure that he led you to them. So,
100%.
and they are adorable. Thank you for sharing the picture with me.
They are something.
Um, and that's actually a really good lesson, Cisco, for everybody that's listening. That
Mhm.
your pet in spirit will actually lead you to another pet that you are likely going to adopt.
100%.
Yeah. Yep.
And so good at it that I trusted it through my grief, but because I know wonderful human beings like Rob and Lynn and Claire Broad and so many names that I've met over my 50 some years in the paranormal, supernatural wonderfulness and the miracle side of this.
Mhm.
I have learned that even through my grief, it was like a what do you call a little lifesaver? I was drowning, and I had the answers, but even through all that, as many answers as I could fathom at the time, that I've gathered, and I knew the right thing to do, but it was so hard pulling through that. But I did it with you. You guys helped me, and knowing people like my dear friend Rob here helped me a lot. But it was still hard to pull myself out. So if you're having a hard time, remember that. And again, don't feel guilty. You are not replacing. I have a
Mm-mm.
lady that comes in where I work at a floral. She lost her dog 2 years ago. She comes in every week and buys them flowers. Her grief is palpable,
Wow.
and she refuses to get something else to love, even though she could financially able. I talk to her and I tell her this like little story little by little, and I'm easing her through that to maybe go adopt something else, to love. But yeah, I mean, it's don't fool yourself that you don't want to love again, because the pain, it's a different kind of pain, Rob, the grief, and then just never giving that love to something else that needs it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can totally relate to the grief because
Mm.
in 2020, I lost Dolly, our Weimaraner, and Franklin, our dachshund.
So
They're on
sorry.
the cover of my Pets in the Afterlife 3
Adorable.
right behind me. And that was gutting.
Mm,
The grief was crippling. And
mm.
it's like a big empty hole in your body.
So true.
So, for the folks that are listening that have lost a pet, there are a couple of things that you should know. Number one, um, our pets do like us to uh, adopt another if we are up to it, when we are up to it, um, because we have so much love that remains shelved, but we have to give it. That's what it's all about. Number two, adopting another pet can be very healing. We actually adopted a 9-year-old dog that was badly abused, and he's still working through issues. Um, but um, he's he's adorable. Um, the other thing too is that when our pets pass, it's perfectly acceptable to feel uh, empty and devastated. Um, if you one thing that's bothered me sometimes when people have said, well, it's only a dog or a cat. It's not only a dog or a cat. It's it's the living embodiment of love,
Mm,
and no human, as far as I'm concerned, can ever achieve that.
mm.
So, um, so
So true.
grief, yeah. So grief is really, really a part of that. So in my book, Cisco, like I did with Pets in the Afterlife 3 about dogs, with Pets in the Afterlife 4, I had a really good friend of mine, Kristen Young, help write a chapter about how she helps people cope with grief.
Mm,
So she has a practice and she helps people work through grief and various other things, and she offered some really great ways to work through it. um, I also share different ways that we coped with grief too. um, and and one thing, when you lose a pet, it's very helpful to just let other people know, because hearing their support and their love for you means a lot.
mm,
Don't isolate yourself.
mhm,
That's not that's not a healthy thing to do when you're
mhm,
depressed in any way or
mhm,
grieving. Granted, we probably need a little time, but don't take too much time,
mhm,
because we all need that support.
mhm, mhm. That's good advice. And, if you can do anything, there's so many senior animals,
Mhm,
a lot of people right now are alone or don't have somebody. If you have an elder that, could just, a little assistance with the pet, there are so many pets down at the pound. I mean, in most of your pounds, you can look up, I don't know what they call them anymore, Rob. There's rescues and there's ASPCA and SPCAs and, different things. But I'll tell you, I mean, I went to the pound, they were chipped, they had all their shots, they had care. And again, I was able to give a home to 2 kittens who I got them oat grass. They didn't even know to eat grass because 'cause
mhm,
they'd seen grass. But my older kitty, Helen Wheels, came in and took the opportunity to be a big sister and eat some grass and was actually showing them, like, you could see her looking at them as she's eating it, chomping away at it, and
mhm.
teaching, you
Teaching.
know,
Yep.
because they'd never seen it, and it never even dawned on me that they hadn't seen it. I just thought instinct that they were gonna go right after it like catnip. But there's different things like that, so you're gonna stumble through things, but man, if you know of an elder that could use a senior, dog or senior cat that just wants to be on a lap and be loved and have that time, even if you need to go in like every couple days and help out with it, or something.
Mhm,
Don't deny that love. They're not the trouble they think. That they give so much more than they ever take. And I think that's what happens with the passing too, Rob. I've had several pets that I could tell from their feeling and their energy and the way it was going that they were afraid to leave me. They weren't
mhm.
scared for themselves. They were
Yeah.
in pain and they were ready to go. I had to tell each and every one it was okay to go. It was okay to go. And I think that's so important, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes I found by doing readings, Cisco, that sometimes our pets will hide their ailments from us
Yes. Oh
so
gosh,
that
yes.
we are not burdened by them. So we don't feel uh, we don't get stressed by them. And then
Mm,
they finally, when their body finally gives out, it's too late to help them.
yeah.
But they
So
do that.
true.
Yeah, they do that because of unconditional love.
Isn't that something, especially cats?
Mhm,
Dogs too, but cats are notorious for hiding their pain and everything else.
mhm,
There's a couple of things I can't vouch for any of the companies, but I've said it before that there's certain litters. Now, talk to your vet, talk to whoever you're comfortable with, because some people don't like any chemicals. I mean, it is important what kind of litter you use, but there is two that one's called Pretty Litter, and then there's another one that actually gives you a heads up, with it's like 3 or 4 different colors it changes to let you know. Now people say, "Ooh, the chemicals." But again, talk to your vet, see
mhm,
if that's something that, look at the reviews and research, because if it can give you a heads up with a cat, whether it's a urinary tract infection or possibly kidney liver or something, if it can give you a heads up, because they exactly like Rob said, Dickens was fine one day and then took a hard left, just, and I think he just let go. He couldn't hold it anymore, what was wrong. Subtle little things. So don't blame yourself because they're really good at it, and it's something that's in there. It's embedded in their instincts and their compassion. And so they're not complainers. How
mhm.
many times have you seen a dog get up and limp, and we complain getting off the couch or out of the computer chair, or, rolling out of bed in the morning, and they really can't get up and tell people that they need some Bengay or they need this or that. So they count on us to pick up those subtle signs, you know, and we miss them all the time because they're so good at it. They really are. So, go and see the vet, you know, pay attention to little things that change or whatever. Now, Rob, I heard a wonderful poem, and I think I sent it to you because it was just amazing. It was saying, "Don't cry for me
Mhm.
at my grave." And I know you've heard it before, but it was so profound. We played it at his memorial. And in there, it talks about give my bowl to another. Go ahead and share that love. It's so important to them that you do that. Like Rob said, I think they even set you up. I heard you on another interview earlier this a couple of months ago where you were saying about how not only do they help you find another pet sometimes and connect you in, it goes
Mhm.
deeper than that, doesn't it, Rob? Sometimes they'll connect you with pets that only need care for a short time, and
Mhm.
they know that you have those abilities. Would you touch on that a little bit? I think it's amazing.
Yeah, they really do.
Mhm,
So we've been fostering senior dogs. We love senior dogs, and
mhm.
we usually foster fail, but
Mhm.
but but it really takes some patience sometimes with senior dogs because most of them come with arthritis or different medical problems. But they're a lot easier to deal with than puppies sometimes,
Mhm, mhm,
or
mhm, mhm,
um, so our kids are all seniors. We have 9, 12, and 14, and they're very easygoing for the most part. But yeah, our Pets in Spirit will lead you to a dog or cat that specifically needs your talents to help them have a better life.
mhm. So true. So true. And I don't know why we have a hard time understanding that if we think that that's capable, if human spirits or spirit guides are able to do this. You see what I mean? And I don't know why we look at animals that they would be lesser than, because in my case, or how I feel, my opinion
Hmm.
is they are able to cross over easier. I think it's like almost like lickety split. I think it's a small percentage,
Hmm.
Rob. I don't know if you would
Yeah.
agree that that would stay by due to some kind of fractured energy or something because of some kind of deep trauma or something along those lines. I could imagine that would just fracture them for a moment and keep them from crossing immediately. I think most animals go right across that bridge like it was greased, you know. And the only thing I think that holds them back is their loving and worry for us, if that makes sense.
Yeah, in all the years I've been doing this for like 12 years, I think, I've only run across three um, earthbound pets, two
Wow.
cats and one dog. And
Okay.
and the reasons they stayed behind was because they were very dedicated to their pet parent, but they had other motivations as well. Um, I think we talked about a little ghost dog that I met in a museum in England, and I was totally surprised when this little dog came running out to the front door as soon as we walked in this former house now museum, and I was surprised, and of course, my partner didn't see the dog, but I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Um, and I found out later that the dog was so enamored with his parents, Mr. and Mrs. John Soane. He was an architect, but he loved going to the front door to greet people. And
Hmm.
he still does that every single day in the afterlife.
Wow.
And he didn't want to give it up
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
he stayed because he wanted to be there for his mom and dad. But
Hmm.
when they passed and they crossed over, he still stayed on because he loved going to the door. He still does.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny because there's certain ghosts, like earthbound spirits
Hmm.
that stay for that reason too. Or and then sometimes they stay behind so long they lose track of their connection and they just need a little help getting that connection back, you
Right.
know. But they do that. They'll stay by because they really love their house and they want to make sure that it's taken care of or wherever they may be or wherever they may be staying. And it's nothing sinister or nothing, that they're afraid to cross or whatever. They've just really liked where they were and they stayed and maybe a little too long to the party. And now they're just trying to, they might be ready to cross or whatever. And that's why you need mediums to go in there and untangle all that,
Yes.
because nothing just fits in these neat little categories. We found that out through, you know, it's an amazing amount. It's like Rob said earlier in the beginning of this, where I was talking about Dickens coming with just these like daytime, maybe even like daydreaming. I wouldn't even say it was daydreaming, because with each of us, it was like during our busy day at work. And then all of a sudden, we just got this vision that stopped us enough, just for a moment in
Yes.
time, enough to recognize it and then go and move on. Like that was crazy, and just move on and keep continuing on with our day. But they also come in our dreams.
Hmm.
And Rob, when we first met, he had told me about that, and I tried that where, like 3 or 4 nights in a row, right before sleep, I talked to my spirit guides and asked them if they could bring my dog in.
Hmm.
Just let me know he was okay. And you skip a night, you might forget, and then you remember and you try it again. And it's basically, I think, just getting your intent out there and connecting with that thought process. And then, like the fourth, fifth, sixth night, when I'd probably forgotten all about it, all of a sudden I have the most vivid dream of, here comes my dog barreling at me like he's done a million times in his life, and did all the little things I had forgotten that he did in, I might have remembered one or two, but then I forgot he spun around and hit me with his butt every time and then came around again. He just, there he was. I could feel his fur. I could smell him. I could feel his breath. And, it was him. It was him. And I highly recommend that you guys do that. Rob, do you want to explain that a little bit better? I mean, I don't know if I covered everything, but gosh, that was incredible.
You did well. You covered it pretty well. I will say that that if you think about your pet or your person that you want to come into a dream, or you speak out loud and make the request, they can hear either your vocal request or your thoughts, because
Mhm,
thoughts and sound are both energy, and their energy. So a soul is energy coupled with memories, personality, and knowledge, and that's what a soul is. So every living thing has a soul. So because they're energy, they can hear you and they can read your thoughts, and
mm.
they will be able to do that.
It's so
What,
true.
what you had though, Cisco, was even deeper than that. It was, I call it a visit, because when you can smell something, when you can
Mhm,
smell the fur, when you can feel something in your vision or
mhm,
your dream, that's a tactile feeling or an olfactory sense. Um, that's much deeper. That's a deeper
mhm,
connection.
mhm, mhm. I would absolutely say that that would be that dog as well. I've had some spectacular, how you have each one, you have every pet is different, folks. Every, whether it's a little bird or a little, it doesn't matter. Each one has its own character and its own little spirit, its own little soul. And something else Rob explained wonderfully. I don't remember where it was, Rob, because I've listened to you speak and give. He's a wonderful lecturer. And again, before I forget, I want to apologize for not being out there to Hoover House. We were all sick. We didn't want to get everybody else sick. We got hit with the horrible stuff, and we couldn't go because I said, I'm not going to do that to my friends. So we did the responsible thing and stayed away. And I missed a great time, but
Yeah.
nobody was sick. It's the right thing to do. So, but I missed being with Rob and in the wonderful Hoover House, and we'll do it again sometime, I promise. But through talking to Rob, I've learned so much about these little things that we kind of overlook, like I said, the signs and things like that. But one of the major things, and it's kind of delicate, because a lot of people think that pets come back and reincarnate as this pet that they just got. And I can't say that's impossible. Rob has his own views on that. I don't know that much about it, but he explained it very well when he said that if your pet has characteristics from, say, you got a new dog and he's doing some things that your last dog did,
Hmm.
Rob and I both think it's because that other dog is there in spirit
Hmm.
teaching him these things.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
actually Cisco. That was my first reading way, way, way back, 12 years ago, for a pet
Wow.
that I had no connection with whatsoever.
Right.
Um, and that was a very educational breakthrough for me,
Mm,
because this little Chihuahua came to me and told me that he was teaching this woman's dog how to be a better dog, and having having some better habits. Um,
mhm,
and then he pointed out the woman in the audience. There was an audience of like 50 people, and he pointed to her. And I stopped this woman walking out, and she probably thought I was out of my mind, but it turns out that the woman's grandmother had a Chihuahua that looked exactly like that dog, with the same name, Chico. And she said her lab was acting much better.
mm,
So that was my first kind of awakening that pets in spirit will come back and train our new pet to have a habit or two that they had. Uh, what's comforting to me about that are two things. One is that our pets in spirit are still giving us signs that they're around through the new pet. And number two, our pets in spirit will be waiting on the other side for us.
mm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And now here's a funny question. I don't know if you believe in reincarnation for human spirits, but if you
Huh.
do,
Yeah.
do we go back and visit? So, where's our pets from other lives? Do they show up too? I think that they would.
Yeah.
It
We're all
makes sense
connected.
to me. Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. I think we're all connected like a giant spider web.
Yep.
Of, yeah.
Mhm.
That's the way I
Mhm.
look at it.
Mhm. Mhm. And the animals are different in that way because I think that the people reincarnate almost like a group, like a soul group or a group of people, almost like I think it's almost they wait to reincarnate until everybody in that soul group has passed, and then they go, "Let's go around again." You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
kinda like
I agree with that.
yeah,
Yep.
it's crazy to think about it, but it really is simple. It's simplistic in a way.
Yeah, I think so. Somebody also asked me if I think that pets will come back as humans and vice versa, and I don't think so. I mean, it hasn't been my experience.
Mhm.
So there, I'm always looking for someone
It's
in a restaurant putting
like
their
looking
face in a bowl and licking their bowl. Like
because they got some genetic memory. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah,
well, you must have been a cocker spaniel in your previous
right,
life.
right.
No.
Because I think we do carry some genetic memory throughout our different lives. I really think we do, and I think that's why when you do past life regression, like say you have a pain, a constant migraine, and then you find out that you were hit in the head with a rock in another life. I can't
Hmm,
stand having anything around my throat. A choker,
hmm.
a turtleneck, anything. I just cannot. This high lace. I would have never made the 1800s because those high lace with the lace.
Oh,
You know.
right, base
So
collar, sure.
yeah. Oh my gosh, I'd never make it. But I was thought, okay, maybe I was hung in another life. Maybe I was, choked to death or something along those lines. I don't like being accused of things I didn't do. And I thought, well, maybe in another life I was accused of something and maybe, or whatever. I think there's some genetic memory there that once you deal with it, like all these little reincarnation stories of these young kids coming back as a World War II pilot and being able to describe the
Hmm.
battles and the plane. And,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
read
uh,
that.
there was a
Mm,
young boy who wrote Gone with the Wind, and he had parents that were they didn't dismiss it. They inquired, they had questions and they researched and they didn't prod the child with certain questions, but oh, so you're in old Hollywood. Well, what did you do there? Were you an actor? Did you do something else? Or just little questions while the kids color
mm.
it. And matter of factly said the things. They went and researched and found out that this was the guy who did the screenplay for Gone with the Wind.
Wow,
They take him to the cemetery, Rob, because he had to go to Hollywood. He had to get it out of system at like 7, 8 years old. They took him.
wow.
They found the graveyard. He gets out of the car before the car really completely comes to a full stop and runs to the exact gravestone at 7.
Hmm,
But after he dealt with that and he said goodbye to that person and
mhm.
they found out how he died and they talked about it, worked it through, he never had the nightmares anymore. He was able to move on with his life. It's little things like that, and I think that type of thing also connects with pets.
Yeah.
Now we're trying to talk about Mr. Dickens. I try to keep it in a high, a different way. The way we've dealt with certain things here, like there might be a cat tree that's still here, and the boys jump up to play on it, and I'm like, well, you can thank Mr. Dickens for leaving that for you. He had fun on that too. I don't sit there and look at it and say, "Oh my gosh," and bring it down. I try to lift it up, if that makes sense. I
Hmm.
also gave them both his middle name so it would carry on. I did little things that worked for me, if that makes sense, that helped me through that pain. And you guys, you find little things that work for you too. If you don't want
Yeah.
to give
We have
them
to do the
the
work
bowl,
for that.
yeah, if you don't want to give them the bowl, throw it out, or do whatever and get new ones. But
Hmm.
you
Sure.
know if you do use something, like I said, Mr. Dickens left that for you. We can thank him for that, you know, and that it's kind of made me feel better about stuff. And I didn't throw everything away, which would have been ludicrous. I mean, it doesn't make sense,
So
you
when
know.
I do readings, sometimes pets will ask me if I will tell their pet parent to keep a certain item that belonged to them, whether it's a collar or a tag on the collar that's maybe in the shape of a heart or a bell or something like that, or put their picture next to their ashes if someone has their ashes. Um, just something to that effect. Keep a favorite toy. One of the cats that I did a reading for was really adamant about keeping a yellow bird. And and when the pet parent wrote me back, um, they had they kept that was the only toy they kept, the yellow bird, and put it on their desk. And the cat was acknowledging that yellow bird was still there and was very happy that that yellow bird was there. So cats are very, very observant, much more observant than you think they are. Um, one couple of the commonalities that cats share usually when they give messages to people from the other side, they love jumping on things, of course. So I've talked to a lot of pet parents who have reported feeling their cat walk across the edge of their bed. Um, I've done a couple of readings where some cats will have told me that they've laid behind the parent's head and will bat their hair at night. And I always get the confirmations of things like that. Dogs tend to lean against the legs of people at night. Cats tend to go further up toward the head or the feet. That's just what I get. But oh, I think you're on mute again, Cisco.
I am. They do. You're 100% correct. They do. They tend to go more toward the head where, I think it was second or third day after my husband's cat passed a couple of years ago. When he passed, he had a stroke. I had to carry him. We were getting to that point till we could get the vet. And he every night he would curl up in the crook of my husband's legs.
Hmm.
Toward the end, he could still get on the bed, but he had a limp. He had a 1-2 hop kind of. You could tell the steps on the bed. You could feel who was walking up the bed. About 3
Sure.
days after he passed, here he came. But he did the same thing and came up on the corner exactly like he did a million times before, except this time he wasn't limping. And without even turning around, I put my hand back there and I went, "I'm good to see that you're not limping anymore, honey, but don't come back here and get stuck. He's doing fine. I'll take care of him. You go do whatever you need to do. But you're welcome to sleep here tonight." I mean, I just talked to him just like that. But by golly, the limp was gone. Same thing with
Wow.
Oso, my dog. Same thing with Oso, my dog. It was about 5, 6 days later. You could hear it, and you could hear his nails. You get that a lot. Nails on the wood
Hmm.
or the linoleum, and
Yep.
he didn't have the 1-2 hop step, 1-2 hop step. When they limp, that was
Sure.
all gone. And that they heal just like we do when we go over there.
Yep.
You know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. What do you
Um,
think they're doing over there, Rob? I wanna ask you that question, and I have a little something that I put together. It's about 3 minutes, and if anybody wants to go get a drink of water or another hot cup of tea, I'm gonna go get some nice hot water. But you know how we like to lift the spirits here, and when Rob comes, we always do something special. So I have a little compilation for him because it's holiday time, and I want to wish everybody a happy Hanukkah, happy Festival of Lights, Merry Christmas, happy holidays. Hope your Thanksgiving was great. If you're celebrating something different, may it be happy, may you be with your loved ones, and remember all our loved ones, past, present, and like in the Dickens Christmas Carol, don't forget about your future, because you probably had a lot of love in the future too. So be thinking about adopting and giving a home to a new pet, maybe after the holidays when it's not so crazy. If you know an elderly person in the neighborhood and you want to go talk to them and maybe assist them in getting one, that would be great. If you have someone in the family that could use a little extra love, or maybe you. So while we're watching this, Rob, it's about 3 minutes. If you want to get a drink of water, you want to sit here and watch it and laugh. It's we're celebrating animals in the holidays. So I hope this brings smiles. Is that cool with you, Rob?
Yeah,
We played
absolutely.
this real quick. I hope you guys enjoy it. We always try to keep the smiles going here. And I will give you a disclaimer at first. I am not an advocate for dressing animals in outfits that may make them feel uncomfortable or demoralized. However, some of them are darn cute, and I hope you enjoy it. Here we go. Muted again. Here we go. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I went and got a little bit of hot water for my tea. Rob, I hope that made you smile.
It did. It was very cute.
I like the little dog dressed in the sand, just having a ball in the snow, and he's jumping around, and the kitty that's playing with the ball, and you can look in his little eyes. You can see the reflection of the Christmas tree in his eyes. Absolutely precious. So, the big thing, and we're going to let Rob answer that question, is if you are decorating for the holidays, keep in mind that the most not frustrating thing you can do during the holidays is set your things up and understand that you have animals in the house, whether it's kids or dogs or cats. We wire our stuff to the Christmas tree down low where they're not going to fall off and create an issue. Cats will be cats, dogs will be dogs. Make your life easier and keep that in mind, and just decorate accordingly. We used to put bells on the bottom of the tree and just, you could hear them jingling when they were playing and stuff, and put the other stuff up that you really care about and wire it on with a pipe cleaner or something like that so it doesn't fall, and wire it to the wall so it doesn't fall over and hurt the animal,
Hmm.
or something along those lines. And, be mindful of the things that might hurt them, like mistletoe and poinsettia plants and things like that. Keep those up and away, and don't give dogs chocolate. They don't want Hershey Kisses in their stocking. Other than that, just understand that you're one family trying to work together. And as long as you keep common sense, and don't try to, it's like trying to get a cat. The vet asks us, you want to, you want me to clip the nails or are you going to declaw? And I'm like, what are you kidding me? I'll get a new couch. You don't stop a cat from being a cat or a dog from being a dog, in my opinion. Kind of roll with it and work together, because they're also trying to live with you, and you're probably not 100% wonderful to be around all 7 days a week, 24 hours a day either. So, you're part of a family, work together. So what do you think they're doing over there, Rob?
What do I think they're doing in spirit?
Yeah.
Well, they're getting to know our loved ones, that's for sure. On the
How
other
cool is
side,
that?
um, actually, when I do some readings for cats as well as dogs or other pets, they usually describe somebody that they're with, and it
Oh,
doesn't have to be somebody that we have met in life.
oh,
Um,
interesting.
yeah, it could be a great grandfather or a great uncle. There was one cat that was describing their uncle on the other side, and the pet parent was able to confirm that their uncle had passed just recently. So it was really comforting to know that their cat, who had just passed, was with their uncle. Um,
So true. They're laughing at my joke. I call kids animals. Well, you know what? In some cases, a 3-year-old can be just like a new puppy.
well, there you go.
There you go. That's
Um,
so interesting, Rob. Really.
so one thing I wanted to backtrack for just a
Sure,
second,
sure,
because
sure.
you mentioned about plants, and
Oh yeah.
in one of my Pets in the Afterlife books, I talked about a a dog that used to eat plants, and that actually was toxic, and that
Mm,
actually took his life. But there are some holiday plants that are actually poisonous to cats too.
mm-hmm,
Poinsettias
mm-hmm,
are amaryllis. Both
oh,
holly and mistletoe are actually both poisonous too. So please be aware, if you have those plants and you're decorating for Christmas, um, please keep them away from your cats.
mm-hmm,
Also, of course, lilies and azaleas; those are also poisonous to cats as well.
mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm. Mhm. Yeah, so
uh,
it's a good idea to look up, if you get something as a gift, you're not sure, just look it up. Nowadays we can research in, 50 different ways from Sunday. So just research something and see. And if it isn't, go ahead and put it up. Like I said, be smart, think ahead. When you're putting up your tree or you're putting up something that, you don't want to take great grandma's, crystal angels or something and put them on a ledge where a cat's going to come up and go banga, 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 banga. Think ahead. That way you still have the precious object and you're not upset at a cat for being a cat,
yeah.
or a dog for jumping up. And, be careful of those stalking things. There was a thing, Rob, that was real big when I used to work at AC Moore. They came out, and they're these really heavy weights that you put on a mantle and hang a stocking from.
Oh,
Those
right.
aren't those aren't only dangerous to dogs and cats jumping up trying to grab the stocking, or if you've got
Mhm.
if you have a dog stocking and they can smell the bones in there, or with catnip mice or whatever. they're just curious. They pull that down. It's so heavy. It's like getting hit in the head with a brick, and that's high enough to kill a pet or a young child. So I highly recommend you don't do that. They look
Sure.
real nice, but a lot of these things are real pretty, but they're just not safe to keep around pets. And just be smart with things, right? Just don't think about it.
Yeah, and I mean, what really you have to think about is that cats can jump anywhere, and dogs
Hmm.
don't have that ability really.
Hmm.
So, but like some of the videos that you were showing, that cat was knocking off all the Christmas decorations
Hmm.
along along that bookcase.
Yeah.
Um, so cats can go anywhere. Dogs don't have that ability per
Hmm.
se. So that you need to be really more mindful, especially with the plants.
Mhm. And
Oh,
think about
oh,
stuff too. I remember back in the day it used to be tinsel. I grew up in the
oh,
days
right.
of the 1960s trees with all the tinsel that were made out of lead. That were safe at the time. But so many
Mhm.
cats had eaten that tinsel, and think about that with ribbons and things. They love to play with curly ribbons and things like that, but be sure they're not, chewing that and choking on it or whatever. And
Yeah.
little things like that with dogs too, because you can prevent it. That's why we always say, if you're going to adopt, give a puppy or something like that for a gift for even a child. Don't put it in a box and open up Christmas morning. It's too much craziness in the house, too much noise, too much, falderall and all that other stuff. So what you could do is do a box and maybe take a picture of the puppy and have it in the box, and then go get it together on a calmer day. I'm not saying don't adopt. I'm saying there's other ways you can do that, or maybe keep them in a different part of the house and then go visit that dog or that kitten quietly together and acclimate that kitten into the family when it's not so much craziness. I mean, a kitten can get under paper and get stepped on, no problem. We had to be careful. We had two little guys. They were like velociraptors. These guys, they Rob, they hunt like a pack of wolves. You know how they go. One's the forward observer, and the other one comes in behind. And they already got their first mouse. I'm sorry to say for the mouse. The mouse lived, but it got cold here, and we live in the back of a animal preserve, a wetland preserve.
Hmm.
So there's so many different things with turkeys and deer and you name it, it's out here. And so we have mice. So cold night, one always get in at one a year. Will always get in the house, and they always break it. I always have cats, so they don't get very far. So they come out from underneath, I guess, the stove where the gas line comes, no matter how much foam and stuff you put in there. And I don't use poison because I'm always afraid that the cat will get a hold of the mouse that ate the
Hmm.
poison. Think about it.
Yeah.
So I have cats. I don't need the traps. So Bucephus at 2 months old, maybe 9 weeks old, I'm sitting in the bathroom getting ready for work, and then I watch them run by, and I'm like, I swear that toy was moving on its own. Wasn't a toy. Here they come like velociraptors. He's running. His brother, his brother Boo is running, on the side, and they're working it
Oh,
together, running into the corner. He grabs it. I grab him, get him out, and we let him go outside. That mouse took off down the driveway, across the street, kept going. He's probably in Florida by now,
oh
but
my God.
broke into the wrong house. But at 9 weeks old, I've never seen it. Never seen it. So we have hunters. But they do their job for you too. Lots of people don't like barn cats, but I'm here to tell you, if you treat them right, and you must feed them, that is a myth, right, Rob?
Hmm.
A barn cat's going to catch a mouse whether you feed them or not. That's instinct. So
Yeah,
please don't
absolutely.
starve your barn cats. You take care of those cats, and they'll take care of you and keep them warm. But that's our disclaimers, I think, for the holidays, unless there's anything else you can think of. Foods and things like that, that's not good. There's plenty of medicines and things like that. You should never let them get a hold of, like aspirin. Don't ever give that kind of stuff. Just because you can take it don't mean they can,
Yeah.
and that goes for food as well, you
Hmm.
know.
Yeah.
So, but, and, watch over all your little ones too, like your little hamsters and the rabbits and everything else. But with the kitties, like you said, we're not really saying that all the animals are different, but they are. They each have their own special characteristics, and you're saying that cats seem to have this in depth of understanding, with the music, recognizing that somebody really liked a song or sang it all the time,
Hmm.
as you referenced. Like I said with Dickens, I just know it. He was picking up things that we said on the day around his memorial, and found a way to show us that with hats. I mean, I still can't you wrap my head around that. Now, again, it could be loved ones and spirit guides assisting in that
Hmm.
imagery to
Sure.
try and comfort us.
Yeah.
But I think there's been so much that he's done something, with the candle and, other things that have happened around us, you know. And I think that they have that ability with energy to manipulate energy in small amounts, wouldn't you say? Just
Sure,
like
because they are
humans.
energy. So yeah,
Yeah.
so that's why no surprise that they put a little charge in his battery there, his candle.
It's a trip,
Um,
right? And I mean,
yeah.
brighter than it would have. I mean, I don't know if you know what I mean, but there's these, I'm around them all the time because I'm a floral designer, so I'm familiar with them. But they're just pillar candles with a timer, and
Mhm.
they don't light up very bright. They're not,
Mm-mm.
you know,
No.
it's a subtle candle flicker kind of thing. And this thing was just like me, like it really surged. And I'm looking at my son going, that's brighter than it was when I first put batteries in it. And the batteries weren't that good to begin with when I put it out there because I knew it wasn't going to last long. So little things like that, it's just, the cardinal showing up at the right time, Rob. We're not saying that our grandfather is the cardinal. We're saying that he manipulated the
Mhm.
energy at the right time.
Yeah.
Would you like to expand on that a little bit as far as butterflies and cardinals and little subtle things like that?
Sure. So pets, like people, can
Hmm.
help influence things in nature, like
Hmm.
squirrels or rabbits or butterflies or birds. But they have to behave in an odd way. So not everything, every time you see a butterfly is a sign. That's not the way
Right.
it works. It has to be, number one, tied into a date,
Hmm.
maybe around a birthday, within 2 weeks of a birthday or a passing or an anniversary, an adoption anniversary, or something like that, or your birthday. Um, and sometimes pets will get help from human spirits to do these
Hmm.
things.
Right.
Um, they'll also get help dropping a coin in front of you. If there wasn't a coin there before, they can they can make one. They can apport one, which means
Apport it.
move
Hmm.
it from one place to another. That happened to me with with one of our dogs. Of course, I think it was Sprite. When Sprite passed away, I had asked our friend Ed in spirit to let us know that he's with Sprite. And we took a walk around the neighborhood with the other dogs, and we found one coin. And that one coin was dated 1996, the year that Ed passed. That was
Wow.
Ed's confirmation that he was with Sprite, or Sprite
Hmm.
was with him.
And there
So,
it is. When
yeah.
you ask for stuff like that, then I sometimes say expect it, because I say expect it with a not the same way as a lot of people are taking it. I mean, it's almost like I'm giving it energy I'm giving out the energy to, feel free to, I'm looking for it, put it out there. I was explaining to my boss the other day, she was having a hard day, and she had said something along the lines of, I keep praying that this, something will work out, or what, something along those lines. And I'm like, hang in there, keep doing it,
Mhm.
whatever, put that out in the
Yeah.
universe. Not 3 minutes later, I something alarm went on my phone to remind her of something. We both came together and both held our phones out. They both clocks said 11, 11, 11, 11 at the same time. And I showed him to her and I said, "Now, what do you think the chances of that are?" She goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, that's angels' numbers, that they're telling you that
Hmm.
we're around you and we're listening." And I said, "What, after what you just said, taking it into context, I think this is your sign, you know. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and accept it as a sign for you." Go ahead.
So I'm glad you brought that up because ever since Dolly died, this is Dolly up here. Ever
Hey,
since Dolly
sweetie.
passed away, she was my she was really my heart dog. um, there, I swear that there is not one day that goes by that I do not see repeating numbers. Like this morning, we were out doing errands and we put the dogs in the pickup truck with us, and the first time we looked at the clock, it was 11:11. Later on this afternoon, today, we were headed to meet some friends for lunch. We looked at the clock. It was 1:11. Now Dolly is always with me. She's always sending me repeating numbers. Um, just 2 days ago, Cisco, I saw 10:10, and then I saw 2:22, 3:33, and
Mm,
4:44. And I thought, Dolly is with me all the time. This
mhm,
dog is always with me, and she's protecting me, and she's guiding me, and
mm,
she's really keeping me calm. And
mm,
it's amazing. Just recognize that when a spirit is around you, they can send signs in various ways, and that's one of them.
mhm, mhm. And the more you say you recognize it out loud, like thanks mom, or thanks spirit guides,
Mhm.
or thanks to your whoever that you think is sending this, even if you're wrong, if you want to put out there, thanks mom for sending that, or whoever did, I'm listening. That's fine to do that. Some people don't want to assume who it is in case they're wrong, so that's just a universal way of saying, thanks to your guides, thanks to your loved ones for sending that. That way you recognize it, they know you're paying attention, because so
Mhm.
many times I've seen, and Rob probably feels the same way, that spirits are doing these things and then we ignore them, or we talk ourselves out of them, and then they stop because you're not paying attention. So
Right.
they've got to find another way. So you encourage them, as well as, this might be the wrong way of describing it, Rob, but in my mind, I kind of see it like almost like that well-worn path through the woods that we like to take. I think that
Mhm.
spirits, once they connect in, and the more we utilize that path, the sharper it gets, and the more easy it is to connect back and forth. Almost like doing push-ups every day, or doing sit-ups every day, where it gets easier and easier and easier. And I think it helps our, you know, to exercise our intuitiveness and our energy and keeping connected. I think that connects us in with source and all that light, and everything
Mhm.
else that goes along with it. And I think it lifts your energy. I mean, people wonder, why do I play music in the beginning? Well, this is it. I don't know how your day went. You might just be getting off work. You might be driving in traffic,
Mhm.
and having a hard time. You might have had, a heavy day of baking and wrapping presents and Christmas shopping. You've just had enough. And you sit down right about 8 o'clock. You start getting ready for the show because you're interested in hearing from Rob, but you still got all that anxiety. You still got the beeping, and the cars rushing down the road, and the long line at the store, and the whatever, the wrong price. My gosh, you got to wait for the guy to go get the price, or whatever it may be. So this gives you a 10 minutes, 15 minutes to just listen to some good music, watch some pretty pictures, and
Mhm.
change that vibration. So you're ready. Here's the show, and now you're open, and everybody's, hi, how you doing? It's a nice place to be. And you can do that for yourself too. And I think that's what pets do in our
Mhm.
lives, Rob.
They do. They bring that calm. So I'm fortunate that I get to telework most days on my daytime job as a meteorologist. And when I have a tough call, or when I have a really
Mm,
stressful day, I will get up and just go hug one of my dogs that are right near
yeah.
me. And
Hmm.
they just bring me peace and calm. And
There it is.
sometimes I'll just lay with them for a couple minutes and just say, thank you for being here,
Hmm.
because it means so much. If you lost a cat or a dog, one thing that you can do to still get that feeling is to save one of their toys and take it to bed with you,
Hmm.
and just hold on to it.
Hmm.
Um, I'm going to tell you right now, Cisco, that when Dolly passed away, the last toy that she had was a yellow Woodstock toy, stuffed
Oh.
Woodstock, and it was about this big.
Hmm.
Um, she she had her head on it before we said goodbye to her.
Hmm.
I I have that with me on my bed every single night.
Hmm. I don't blame you.
It
I
makes me feel
slept
like she's there.
every night. I slept with have this blanket that
Mhm,
Dickens was on. And he was on the electric blanket. He was on that when the vet came, and that was the last blanket he was on, and
mhm.
that was his blanket. And I rolled that up, and like a jelly roll kind of thing, and I just slept with it. I put it behind me, and I would pat it and say, I love you, baby.
Yep.
I miss you so bad. And still, that's the thing, and I won't let anybody wash it or touch it. Don't you touch that blanket. I mean, I'll probably lose my mind. But
Yeah.
that's just a way to.
Nobody
But
touches Dolly's toy either.
right, but,
So,
every day it got a little easier, and I still look at the blanket, and I'll touch the blanket, and, and it's so hard. So be easier on yourself that,
mhm,
don't say, "I should be over this. It's, I'm being
mhm,
silly," or anything like that. No, because alls I'm saying is you do whatever you gotta do to get through to move through the grief. There's no crazy. The T-shirt, how many loved ones people we know that a loved one has passed, they kept their T-shirt under their pillow, you
yeah,
know? I mean, I've had family members that were missing. It was horrid. We didn't know if they were alive or what. I did the same thing. So many people go in the closet and smell. There's nothing wrong with keeping a pet's a toy or something like that, or keeping a bowl and a collar on a shelf next to their picture. There's no, if you've got to have something textile to hold with you, do it. Do whatever makes you feel better, you
mhm,
know, but understand that they know what you're going through. And
mhm,
like I said at the beginning, the reason I got them was just to start to help heal the hole. It wasn't to replace. There's no replacing.
no,
There's no, there isn't anything like that. So don't ever let anybody tell you, oh, you're just replacing one with another. No, this is a whole different life. This is a whole nother chapter of your life, and a new chapter with a new pet. And everything that you've learned from all your other pets goes into the raising of this pet. It's almost like your other pets almost trained you in a way. We tried things that didn't quite work. So you want to try something else, or different things like that. Find ways like I did to continue on that life with Mr. Dickens. I gave them both of the new kittens. I made sure they wrote it out there when they did their little chips and all their little, stuff like that. It was almost like I wanted to see it on paper that this was a continuation, because I believe with my whole heart that he led me to them, that he
mhm,
led me to those
yep,
little eyes, and he knew that, oh my gosh, she's going to just, wear the fur right off of these babies, hugging them and kissing them. And, it's just, he knew that they were going to be snuggly. They're the kind of kittens that when you pick them up, they just lean into you. It's like, I want that love. And they needed that love. He went and found them out of thousands of little sets of eyes, So believe that that can happen for you. And I'm sure you've heard stories like this, Rob,
yeah,
where others
yep,
have led, people to other pets and, the next pet. So many people in the chat have been saying, I hope that, I'm led to, new guinea pigs or another puppy or
mhm,
whatever. Put it out in the universe, right, Rob?
yep.
Said, send me, show me, make it, you know, uh, impossible to overlook. Something like that, right?
Yeah, I can't tell you the number of people that I've spoken to who lost a pet, whether it's cat, dog, whatever,
Mhm,
and made a promise to themselves they would not go through this again, but they mysteriously find themselves face to face with another pet, and they can't resist adopting the pet, and that's
mhm,
because your pet in spirit is influencing that to happen.
mhm.
Um, one thing I want to mention that
Please.
I haven't talked about yet is uh, if you adopt a pet at a later time in life and you don't know anything about their past, trust what you feel.
Mm,
Um, I know as somebody who does readings for pets, I get a number of questions from people who said, "Well, I I brought this cat into my home um, when it was later in life, and I don't know anything about their past." Um, so the cat or dog will share what they endured. Actually, I just did a reading yesterday for a cat mom who said, "What can you tell me what my cat says about their life before us?" And that
mhm,
was it. That was the way the question was phrased. And the cat told me that he was feral.
mhm,
He was born kind of in the wild.
mhm,
And she wrote me back and she said, "Yeah, absolutely. That is absolutely true. That
mhm,
that cat was a feral cat." You know, and it's it's fascinating to me that that's another example cats are very observant. So
Mhm.
when that cat came through to me, they showed me that they were not in a home where they
Mhm.
were born.
Mhm.
So and they made their life out in the wild for a while until
Mhm.
they were found and rescued. But cats are extremely observant.
Mhm.
But my point here is that if you adopt a cat or a dog later in life, trust your gut instinct about what you think they went through, and you can pick up how they were treated or mistreated,
Mhm.
as we have with our three dogs. We know all of their fears and their quirks and what they're afraid of, and we work with them to try and get over them. But they really are just like children, and they have the intelligence of a 3 to 5 year old child. If you
Mhm.
read Dr. Stanley Corn's books, The Intelligence of Dogs and How Dogs Think, he uses dogs as a baseline because he was a dog dad, but it also
Mhm.
applies to cats.
Mhm.
And they learn on multiple levels,
Mhm.
instinctual levels, interaction, routines, language learning, emotional learning, all kinds of different ways. And I actually explain these things within the books as well. Um, but our cats take in a lot of different things on a lot of different levels. So
Mhm.
it's not just, you can't just say, oh, he's a cat. Well, he's more than just a cat.
So many depths to
Yeah,
them.
he's an intelligent soul.
So many layers, and they really are thinkers and observers, like you say, and
Mhm,
they do pick up the most subtle things. This is what I'm saying. Dickens, in his 17 years, he did things like he did, and after he passed, he did in life. He did little things like somebody would say, "Hello, Lynn. How you doing, sweetie? Welcome in." You would just be talking about something, and he'd come in from another room and do it like he was listening. Like, yeah, no, I'm gonna still get away with it because my mom's gonna let me get away with anything because I'm, I'm the special guy in the house. We always made these jokes. There's a sign when you come in. This house is run for the convenience of the cats. I mean, it's just the way it is, you know. And he was like that, and he had that attitude. And so many people will agree with that. Hey, Blue Heron, welcome in. So many people will agree with that. And you dogs, they'll all have that different attitude. I mean, don't underestimate a pet. It's like people underestimating pets like their dogs and their cats, and the things that they do and say in front of them. It's like reminds me of parents of like 3 and 4 year olds who think that they can say and do anything in front of the 3 or 4 year old, and the 3 and 4 year old does not, it's not affecting them. They don't understand. And then you
mhm.
find out, the next time they get mad, they just repeated all the bad words you just said, all the, they're fighting with somebody like you fought with mom, but it affects them.
Yeah,
It does. The
yeah.
energy affects them, the way you act around them, all of that. I used to have a
Sure.
kitty. I was married. My first husband had a bad bout with, alcohol and things. It was no surprise, believe me. And so he was, when he drank, he got really mean, and he would say really mean things. He would say them from far away, but he would say really mean things. And I would just have enough. Just go pass out because I'm done trying to reason with. I don't. You don't reason with people who are drinking. You just don't bother.
No,
So
that's
he
true.
would go, and he would pass out, land on the bed, he would pass out or on the couch of the bed with one leg hanging down. And my cat would just sit and wait. I had a big orange ginger cat. I think he was close to 20 pounds. He may have been over that by that point. He was huge, orange cat. His name was Weezer. And he would wait and he would observe. And every single time my ex did that, he would wait for him to pass out. He would run up his leg and bite him in the butt and then run to the front door because he was indoor outdoor. Run to the front door. I'd let him out and go run, run, run because here come trying to chase him, drunk, holding his butt. He did at least 5 or 6 times at the time we were married before I finally said that's enough, and we got divorced. But this is what I'm saying. That's deep for a cat. I see a dog
Yeah.
getting between two people that are arguing and barking and trying to protect the person, but a cat will wait right for that moment.
Well, I'll tell you what, your cat was probably saying after the second time that your cat bit him, that he said, what's taking you so long,
Yeah.
Cisco? Go on.
Yeah,
I
you
was
can't,
wondering if
because
you
I
did
was because I'm always trying to save a stray.
that. Right.
I mean, it's in my thing, and I'm like, okay, one more time, we'll try this time. Maybe you'll stand on your own 2 feet. Nope, and then eventually you just go, nope, you
No.
know. But that was it. But that's just again learning. You're in your 20s. The cat knew more than I did. How about that? Talk about smart. He wasn't 25 and just learning life. He had it all figured out already. It was simple for him, you know, but that's the way it is.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a better story to describe it. It was so simple for the cat, understood. And I was hard headed and, trying to, work my life around this person who was obviously not willing to help themselves. And he knew
Yeah.
that the guy wasn't, was just bite him in the butt and run. That's what I should have done. But they are so deep, and they really do pay more attention. And if you pay attention to them now and the little things they do, not just the little
Mhm.
things that we see that are obvious, but the times they come up to us. If you ever come home from a really hard day, you have really emotional, and there's that, like you just said, Rob, to go and hug them, but they come and hug you. They come sit beside you, or come get on your lap because they know you need that comfort, you know. And they're amazing beings. They truly are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
By the way, I noticed that somebody in your chat
Yes.
said that their cat passed away suddenly 4 months ago,
Oh, so
and
sorry.
do they have messages? Well, so usually for the way that I can connect um, with pets is
There you
that
go.
I need their photograph
There you
because
go.
that helps, and their name, because there are so many cats in spirit and dogs in spirit that I have
Hmm.
to actually identify. It's like picking out a person in a crowd.
Right.
You can't just
It also
say,
helps you connect in with that energy, Rob, that
yeah,
soul, and especially in the eyes. So that's a good time to say, if somebody does want a reading, do you want to tell them where to go to your website? I know you do it through email, and I know you have a long waiting list. So if you want to
I do,
explain that,
unfortunately.
yeah,
Yeah,
but so many people have lost pets. But the thing is get on it. And this is the thing, before Rob tells you, I'm going to tell you this. Do this out of faith and confidence that your pet is going to contact you when they can best do it and when you're best ready to hear it. We often want to hear everything now. And I'm not saying
mhm,
this about anybody in the chat, but of course we're grieving and we want to hear everything now. The pet might not be ready and you might not be ready. So put it out there, get on the waiting list, do everything Rob's about to tell you, and trust in that love that it'll come through once you put it out in the universe when you need it the most. There you go, Rob.
sure. Thank you. So,
Mhm.
so yeah, I'm actually booking out 10 months
Mm,
out in advance,
mm,
but and they can just go on robgutro.com or petspirits.com, and you can
mhm.
figure out how to do it. It's really
Mods, drop that
it's all done
uh,
through PayPal, and all I ask for is the name of the pet, a couple questions that you may have, and
picture.
picture. Yep, and it gets emailed to me. Then I put you on the list, and I respond in due date. So, and I charge a minimal fee because it takes me like between 30 to 45 minutes to do
Hmm.
a reading. So you won't just get one paragraph from
Hmm.
me. You will get a life story
Hmm.
from
Hmm.
me
He
because
really puts a lot into this.
these
Yeah.
cats and dogs love to talk. Um,
Hmm.
so that said, I do want to just address Blue Heron there for you and say that
Okay.
normally when your cat passes, usually within the first several months they try to communicate with you, but your grief locks signs. So
Hmm.
ask, like Cisco said, ask them to come into your dreams, and
Hmm.
they will.
Hmm.
Sometimes when they pass suddenly, I'm not sure if it was an accident, you didn't
Hmm.
elaborate,
Hmm.
or if it was just a sudden death, if the cat was old or not. Um, if you were there, if you were not there. Um, these are things that help to ask the cat. If you were not there, chances are that the cat wanted to pass by themselves,
Hmm.
because usually
True.
pets do not want us to see them in their last moments if they know that we can't handle it, if they know that we're going to dwell on that last image,
Hmm.
um, but so they will pass it home when you're not there.
So true.
Otherwise, they would prefer you to be around them.
Hmm.
Um, so let them make the choice.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
but I will tell you though that your cat has been trying to get through to you for the last couple of months, ever since your cat passed.
There you
Um,
go. So
and,
open
and
up. Do it. Try this, Blue Heron. Like you might have missed this in the beginning, so it's worth repeating if Rob doesn't mind. The best thing that you can do is work on you first.
Mhm.
You know, like with
Heal.
me, what was happening to me as I was seeing his face, because I had to get medicate him every like 4 hours, and toward the end there, he was just not wanting to, and I let him choose when he had enough, and he finally went no, and he was done with. He said he was done with his eyes. I knew it. I knew at the moment he did it,
Yeah.
and we started making the process, to the next step. So I don't know when you last saw your pet, but I'm also picking up that you're focusing on something like Rob said. Either you weren't there and you're blaming yourself, you had to do something and you're blaming you. Maybe you're not thinking the pet understood why you did it. I think that's like number one thing, especially if we had to get them, euthanized or get them assisted in crossing over. I think that right there blocks. So what I did was try not to think of him as being sick, and I had a loved one hold a picture when he was at his best and feeling really good. And I didn't hold the picture in my phone because I didn't want to keep hitting it every few minutes. I would go to the person, I say, I need to see the picture where he was a happy kitty, to try to replace a happy picture with the last time I saw him
Mhm.
not feeling so good.
Yeah.
Try something like that, because once you start changing that vibration, that frequency that you feel, you're easing your grief, which eases them. They can get through a little bit more, because that grief is almost almost like a weight or a magnet, something that pulls and holds,
It's a
and
block.
it's not, you block, and it's not our fault, but it does block. We're not going to see signs because we're not as open. It's like you'll notice when you start picking up on nice things going on around you, when you start feeling that way, like, my God, what a beautiful day, and look at all the birds, and my gosh, the sun feels so good, and you just start opening up and seeing more things. It's kind of like that, if that helps. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. It is awesome, sweetie. And thank you, mods, for dropping Rob's link here. Um, there was another one here. Lynn asked, do pets reincarnate? Um, I
Yeah,
I
we
think
talked about that.
reincarnate. Yeah, I think they reincarnate, but I don't think they reincarnate as people, and I don't think they come back, the next pet. There
No.
could possibly be something along that line. I think each one is separate, has their own separate soul, own separate character, and they keep that, if that makes
Yeah.
sense to you.
So
And a lot of people,
I
go
addressed
ahead.
that question in all of my Pets in the Afterlife books too, about
There
how
you go.
reincarnation seems to work.
And let's do that, Rob. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the books, because right now I think there's 10.
Yeah.
Right now they're so are on the number one bestsellers in their category. He has won awards for the grief. In these books are so much more than just stories about pets coming back. And
Yeah.
I want to say this: when you're speaking to a medium, and a medium is getting a message from a loved one, or a pet, or a pet, which is a loved one, the message is not just for that person getting the message. The message is for everybody who's ever lost someone, because every time a message comes through, it is another validation that life continues on, that our
Hmm.
pets and our loved ones see us and are still connected to us, that love is
Hmm.
eternal. And like with Dickens, that was the last words he heard me say: love is eternal. And
And they're very grateful when we help them cross over. That was one of the questions, I think, in your chat there. But
oh, was there? I
um,
missed. I'm sorry.
yeah, so they're very grateful. Because they're in pain, and when they're in pain and their quality of
Hmm.
life is really poor.
Yep.
Like our dog Dolly, her spine, a disc from her spine slipped, rendering her immobile. And within
Mm-hmm.
12 hours,
Mm-hmm.
she had to we had to help her, cross over, which was
Mm.
horrible for us. But for her, she just kept looking at me, and I could just feel her saying, "Dad, please, I can't live this way.
Yeah.
Just let me go. Find the
Hmm.
love in your heart to let me go."
There it
Um,
is.
yeah.
Find the love in my heart to let you go. That is so hard. Listen, I've got people in my family that had to sit next to their father or their mother and decide to pull the plug. It's
Yeah.
not an easy thing to do. And I think again we take it almost harder with animals because we keep wondering and questioning ourselves on whether they understand what's happening. And Rob and I are telling you we think you almost even understand more. They
Yeah.
see things different. They're on a different kind of level, and they see things that we don't see every day. Look at how clumsy and crazy humans are. We don't see things that are right in front of our face. Look, we just told a story here with, my ex. Why did it take me so long? The cat knew in 5 minutes. I used to have the dog I was talking about. My other husband was a construction crew, and he used to hire in the beginning of the spring and to bring the new guys in, and picking up tools and things like that. If my dog didn't like somebody, just right off, like like he'd go up and sniff their feet or something, his tail would drop or
Hmm.
something. He had little signs. I would tell him, don't hire that guy. And the
Yeah.
one time he didn't listen, because it was all trial anyway. And the one
Sure.
time that it always turned out the dog was right every single time. The one time he didn't
Yeah.
listen, he wish he had. The animals know,
Look at how
they
many
really
people
do.
run red lights, right? They don't pay attention.
So true. So true. And I think, and one thing, gosh, I think it was Mark Twain who said that human beings are the only animals that have the ability to blush or need to, you know, because animals don't do things that they're ashamed of. They do and they don't, but like they'll get in the garbage and knock something over. You see them like, oh, I did that. I
Yeah.
should have done it. That's not what I mean. I mean, hurting other humans just to hurt them, being mean and betraying people just to betray them, being two-faced or rotten or liar. Animals don't have any of that. That's all
Uh-uh.
our burdens. That's our, Rob is an absolute admirer of A Christmas Carol as well. I think there's so many lessons in that. We talked about
Sure.
that last year.
Yeah.
And, again, what are your, what kind of chains are you forging in your life? I don't
Hmm.
think the only chains animals have are the ones we put on them, and we shouldn't, you know, for their own,
Absolutely.
and I think that's just the way it is. I can't stand to see dogs aren't meant to be chained to trees and sitting outside in the cold. Don't do this. Don't do this to animals because that makes you one. You know what I mean? That's,
Yeah.
animals wouldn't do that to us and they don't do it to each other. So, treat them with kindness because all of this is part of it. I know that Rob will agree with me when I say this is what I call soul school.
Hmm.
And Daniel Brinkley is somebody that I, admire a lot, and thinks he's gone through a lot of NDEs, and he was hit by lightning 3 times. He was out for 20 minutes the last time. He saw a lot
Oh my
going over.
gosh.
The one thing I don't even know how it's possible. It's documented, but I'm looking at the stuff and I can't. I'm like, what? But when he crossed over the first 2 times, I'll make it really fast. He was good for a little bit, but he went right back to his old ways again, and back and forth. And the third time, the thing that turned him around was he was high on cocaine. He says this himself, so I'm not repeating bad words. He was going to a party. He was doing coke. He was drinking. He was going to do more of it at the party. In a rush to get there, hit a dog.
Oh.
He made the conscious decision in his mind: should I stop and turn around or continue to the party? He made a conscious choice. This is what we do in life. We all have crossroads and choices here. He made that choice to go onto the party. That dog must be dead. I'm not going back. The thing that turned this Marine, I think it's 3, maybe 4 tours in Vietnam, hard, trained sniper here. The thing that turned him around and put him on his knees was that he went through the pain and suffering and loneliness and fear that the dog went through because he left it. And that's what made him a better man when he came back. He said he could not move through that. Please understand we are accountable for everything we do to each other and
Hmm.
to animals. And I
Hmm.
think it restores your soul if you think that in these times or whatever's going on in your life that you can't do anything, that you can help make a difference.
Hmm.
Buy some bird seed, find a feral cat, try to get it to safety, at least feed it, give it a warm place to be until you can get it help and maybe, fix release kind of thing. Look in your local no kill shelters. Rob does amazing work. The amount of shelters and rescue groups that he has been involved with over this amount of time and put money back into and love back into these facilities is unbelievable. So I highly recommend you please go and support Rob's good works. Go to the email, get on the waiting list. If you want a reading, if not, please go to the website and pick up one of these wonderful books. Um, there is a 10 as it is now. Rob, if you want to tell us a little bit about each one, please do.
Oh
Um,
gosh.
well, maybe pick out a couple. I know a lot of them are, pets 1 through 4, pets in the afterlife, dogs
Yeah.
and cats, and other pets, correct? But you also have ghosts and spirits and lessons learned from talking to the dead. Tell us a little bit about those.
Well, I just mentioned there's 3 series of books, and
Okay.
there's the Pets in the Afterlife series, 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Right.
Um, one gives the most science. 2 is dogs, cats, birds, horses, etc.
Right.
3 is dogs. 4 is cats. Um, they teach you how to recognize signs from your pets and
Mhm.
how scientifically it's possible for them to give you signs.
Right.
Um,
I
the
love
other
this one
series,
too. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I said I love this one too.
Oh,
Absolutely.
kindred spirits.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Very
really?
unique look into that. This is basically, and I'm going to simplify it, but it's so profound. It's basically being in a new relationship with somebody different in your life, and then having someone in the past life actually help you with that. And it was a very unique thing, a new friend, and
Mhm.
just an amazing way that spirit links up and wants the best for us here, because again, this is soul school, right, Rob? And
Yeah,
everything's connected. There you
yeah,
go.
it's
You know,
crazy. So
absolutely
yeah, so
wonderful.
that's part of my Ghosts and Spirits series, which is either about earthbound ghosts or
Right.
spirits who have crossed over, and I teach you how both of them um, connect, and I give you questions and answers
Mm-hmm.
throughout a whole bunch of them. One of them takes you on a paranormal investigations, the case files of inspired ghost tracking that's up there.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all actual cases that we went to in
So
private
good.
homes in Maryland. So
It's
if you
so
want to know
good
the type
too.
of, oh,
Oh, it's so good.
you're
And
so
and
biased.
you and so well, also the YouTube channel. I don't think the YouTube channel gets enough, and I don't know if you're putting out stuff now too, but please go in there and check that out, because uh Rob, I have forgotten some of the other, you're in a paranormal investigative group, and you have another medium that's there. I can't remember his name. Was it
Troy.
there you go. And they have a very wonderful way of going at things on their own and then coming back and seeing what each other got. Rob also does sketching of different spirits that he might see in that house.
I
They have a
do.
very unique way of going at different investigations. I absolutely love it. I highly recommend reading the books and learning if you're
Thank you.
interested in paranormal investigation. One of the things Rob taught me is the chocolate before and after, to raise your endorphins and
Mhm.
your form of prayer or whatever it is that you have, your faith base, your protection and your light, and bringing all that together as one group in helping almost total strangers. Rob, you're
Yeah,
helping
yeah,
the
they are.
the people in the building, if it happens to be a facility of some sort, a home, and also helping just a human being that just happens to be dead and may not even know it, or just coming across and giving information, like that darn John Wilkes Booth that you met at the Ford's Theater in the doggone gift shop. I
Yeah.
have told that story so many times, because I don't think he's crossed, Rob. I think he
No.
stayed here. I
Yeah.
think he stayed because he knows, he's going to have to go through kind of what Daniel went through. You judge yourself, I believe. That's just where
Right.
I'm at right now. I think you have to look at what you did,
Yep.
and you're accountable for it. And here's John Wilkes Booth hanging out where everybody's talking about him. Of course he is,
Yeah.
you
And two
know?
other mediums, Troy and another medium friend of mine, both actually went in there and they actually found him too. And I didn't even tell them. They both told me that they ran into him. By the way,
It's
the other
amazing.
series that I
Oh,
wrote that I
please tell.
really
Yeah.
enjoy is Ghosts on a Medium's Vacation. Whenever I've gone on vacation, one was about England, the other one was about the Birdcage Theater in Tombstone, Arizona. I ran into a truckload of ghosts. So if you love history and you like ghosts, real ghosts,
Mhm.
these are the ones that I met. You'll get a history lesson and you will get your paranormal fix.
It's quite interesting. It's a page turner for sure. And when Rob told me he was going to England, I'm like, how do you do it? Boy, you must have had the stuff put on, because Rob has to like shut things off, when people are coming at him. But some of these strong spirits, they just won't give up. And it's like, okay. It's
No.
like, the only way I'm going to get rid of you is to just listen to you. And some of the places that you were,
Yeah.
in the book. I don't want to give it all away because it's really interesting. If you have somebody that likes good ghost stories and likes to travel and wants to hear about England, stuff like this, is an amazing book for them. Get it, put it in their stocking, but hurry because you're running out of time.
If you
Even
want
if
to,
it's after. Yeah, even if it's after, Christmas, whatever. These are great. He's got something for everything to help with the grief, to help just if you like animal stories, but
humans.
oh, humans, yeah. And there's some great stories in that book about some residual, what I believe is residual, but also a lot of intelligent conversation between earthbound spirit and spirits that come over and just visiting, because they do that too, Rob,
Yeah.
don't they?
Yep.
Yeah, just to
Yep.
come back and
So
check on things. It's
I know
great.
we're probably out of time, but I wanted
We
to
are
remind everybody that Pets in the Afterlife 4 is available on Kindle in pre-order, and the
great.
actual paperback comes out January 10th. And you asked in the beginning if I've got another book lined up. I actually have 7 in the next 7 years, but my
Wow.
next one will be Ghosts on a Medium's Vacation in um, Scotland and Ireland.
Oh, I cannot wait for that one. I cannot wait for that one. This one
I met
is
a lot
is
of good
really
people.
something. With everything that's happened to me recently, I could read a little bit and then I had to stop and then I had to, kind of to move through. But I'll tell you what, this is a book of hope. And if somebody, like I said, October 14th, it hasn't been that long. And even though
No.
I've got these little furry buddies to help me through, Rob's words really help you through. Can you mention the lady that with the grief again? Her name, I'm sorry, escaped me. That helped me with the book. I had that
Oh,
in there about the grief.
Kristen Young. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
in Massachusetts, and
Uh-huh.
yeah, and she has a practice up there, and she's really great. And
Hmm.
she's very close to me, and
Hmm.
my good friend Dr. Bill Charmack wrote a similar chapter for Pets in the Afterlife 3 about dogs.
Hmm.
So if you have a dog or a cat trying to cope with grief, there are really good chapters in there from professionals who understand how to cope with grief and loss.
Hmm. And I would also recommend this. I know it sounds terrible to go ahead and try to prepare for something like this because you never know what's going to happen. We were kind of preparing with all my wonderful medium friends and everything with Dickens. He told me off a couple of times because I used to worry that he was going to pass. And, eventually, life does what life does. And, I would recommend that if you have a pet and they're not ill or anything, that it's coming, whatever, read this ahead of time because it's really going to help you prepare through those times where it's really hard to get your thoughts together and it's very hard to make your next decisions and your choices with all that turmoil. And if you have this information already from Rob's book, I think it would greatly help you through a very, very hard time. And Rob, you know how much I love you, darling. I'm so
I
sorry
love
to
you
miss you.
too.
And I love you enough to not go and hug you in Hoover Hoover House because boy, you didn't want what I had, sweetie. But we always connect together at the right times and at the holidays. This is so important. And I
Mhm.
love you and your family and your wonderful furry family. And I'm going to have you on now that I've got everything a little bit straightened out. But I say that every year and then something goes crazy. So I guess I just put the curse on it again. But I want to
It
have
all
you
worked.
back more.
It all worked. It looks great. I love your graphics. I love your videos. You did a fantastic job tonight, and
Oh, thank you,
I
sweetie.
am so honored to be part of your program.
Oh, I'm so honored to have you as a friend, my sweetie. And, just I wish we one time I'd love to get together at Christmas time and go to Ford's Theater and watch A Christmas Carol with you. I would love to be able to do that in one of the coming years. I would absolutely love to, go on an investigation with you and sit in that wonderful Hoover House. There's so much light there, isn't there? I mean, there's some other stuff too, but there's some beautiful light there. And I just would have loved to seen you shine there and helping animals. So, wherever Rob is, hook up on his website, see where he is. If he's coming to your town, please go and help, because if he's there, he's helping somebody, or he's
A
helping
rescue.
with a rescue or
Yeah.
something along those lines. And please think about rescuing an animal this year. Think about it, make plans for it, because if take in as much as you can, get as much love in this lifetime as you possibly can, because it's going to hug you back when you get over there. I guarantee it. Right, Rob?
Yep. I have two more quick notes for you.
Please do.
One is if you know somebody struggling to with money and they have a pet, please offer to buy their pet food.
Oh, great idea.
And that's a great Christmas gift. Don't buy
Oh,
the purse or
wonderful.
anything, buy the pet food.
Wonderful.
Number two, remember that your pets, whether here, alive, or in spirit, are always going to be around you and they love you unconditionally and they
Mhm.
deserve the same. And thank you very much.
Absolutely. You got a lot of good things tonight. Please get the book. It's absolutely fantastic. All of them are. There's something for everybody. And Rob, I'm just so grateful to have you in my life. Happy holidays to you and yours.
You too.
Please go hug all of your fur babies, and I will do the same. And you guys, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. I'm going to let Rob go. So he's a very busy man. And we thank you so much for spending this time with us tonight, sweetie.
Good
I
night.
love you.
Thank you.
I'll
Happy
message you
holidays.
later. Go get some happy holidays, sweetheart.
Thank
Love
you.
you, baby. Good
Love you
night.
too. Bye bye.
Okay. Now, for that's my friend Rob, and I absolutely adore him. He is one of the most fantastic human beings I have had the pleasure in meeting in this lifetime. And I feel that way about so many people in this chat. I appreciate you guys being here. And, I appreciate you putting up with a couple times I had to take off because I, was getting sick or was fighting off something. And I'm usually able to fight it off if I know what I'm fighting with my herbs or whatever, because of the spider bites I have very little immune system. Isn't he wonderful? We thank him so much for being here, Sarah. Isn't he just he's a lovely man, Gray. He really is, Lindsay. And I hope you're feeling good tonight, sweetheart. Everybody that is out there is hurting. I hope that you're pulling through. Please try to look into herbal remedies and things. I can't say that enough. There's some things that are getting hard to get right now in some places. Please look into, with assistance and research, uh, some of the herbal things. Now, I will tell you this. Oh, we love you so much, Rob. Thank you so much for being here. Kisses right back at you. Happy holiday, darling. And thank you so much for being here. Please get his book. And if mods, if you could drop his website one more time, robgutro.com. Everything. Oh, I know everything's so expensive. So if you're having trouble feeding pet, please go to chewy.com. Get in there. There's a little way you can save money that has like a reoccurring shipping. You can usually save 20 to 25%. If you have something that your dog always eats, like you're going to need a case every 2 months, you can set up the time, but and you can cancel it if you don't have the money that month or you don't need it that much. Thank you, Uncommon. um please look into that, because you can really save money that way, maybe in a couple of different kitty or dog foods. Look into getting things by the case if you can. um if you're feeding animals, I love what Rob said. If somebody has a pets, instead of spending, $50 on a twerking Santa, or a box of chocolate covered cherries, and a Starbucks card or something, go get the pet food. Find out what kind of pet food or cat litter that they use. Maybe give them that, because you're making assuring that pet's taken care of, and you're helping them out with an expense. Or maybe a gift card to chewy.com. PetSmart, I'm going to say it right now. I used to work for PetSmart. I work for Petco too. Just don't think that I haven't gone in there as a part-timer. I was a manager at PetSmart, customer service manager, and I dealt with a lot of the charities and a lot of things. You can get stuff. Look around. You can get it a little cheaper in some cases. Oh, you have Pet Circle in Australia? You want to come say hi? Hey, come here, Spirit. Come here. We're talking about you. We'll come up and say hi. Come here, sweetie. Come here. Come on up here. Come here. Come here. Look at this face. Look at this. Are you sad? Just say hi. Say hi. Say hi, Boo Boo. This is Bucephus. You see Bucephus? He's all full of beans and vinegar. He wants to go down and chew on his brother. Say hi. Say hi. Say Merry Christmas. There you go. There you go. Go on. Go get him. They're like, just, the energy. And oh my, I know he's grown so much. They're eating me out of house and home. That's okay though, because we buy it by the case from the Chewy. Yeah, he's just a busy guy. Bucephus. I don't know where Spirit is. He's just a wild little Christmas spirit right now. He's running around here. But they're absolutely adorable. They still do the head button thing when they see each other. They love each other so much, but they're growing crazy. And but I couldn't do it if I didn't buy ahead of time when stuff was on sale. I try to figure out what's the good foods and put my money in the best place I can. If you can't do that, consider now learning how to make your own pet food, but keep in mind they have to have certain nutrients and vitamins. So look into that. There's a lot of, chicken and rice and things like that. I can't believe in some cases the canned chicken is cheaper than some of the, canned pet food. So, every time they go to sleep, they grow another 4 inches. When I took him to the vet, I asked Dr. Mike, he said, he said, boy, they're going to be big. And I said, well, the way he said big, he kind of emphasized it. And I said, what do you mean big? And his eyebrows almost went up so high, it almost touched his hairline. And he said, big. I'm like, am I going to have to buy a cow? So should I start raising goats or something? But anyhow, I don't know how late you guys want to stay or who wants to hang with me, but I have a little 40-minute, maybe 43-minute surprise here for you if you would like to join me. Because Rob inspired me and because of my beautiful baby, Mr. Dickens, who again came to me in the top hat always because there he is right here. That's him last Christmas in his Christmas collar. He only wore it for 3 minutes every Christmas. And it was the only thing he would allow me to put on him that he didn't really hate me for. But there he is. And that's my mom's manger back there. That she had that 10 years before I was born. So that sucker's running about 70 something years old, maybe a little more. And I see this and I see them together because I know she's got them because she came through. Love you, baby. Mr. Dickens, Merry Christmas, my sweetheart. You'll be at the top of the tree this year. But I see that picture and I know that they're probably together because my mom has come through other mediums and told me, stop sending me cats. I think she just said that, she used to joke me all the time when I was a kid. I can't tell you if she's taking care of all the animals that have crossed over that I've loved. She's got a menagerie. And I'm sure that she's got hers and mine and probably my sister's, you know what I mean? She's on that island of cats and dogs kind of thing. But anyway, I have a little surprise for you because I'm inspired by, I love Charles Dickens. He's one of my favorite authors. And I love him because he was a whistleblower. He didn't take any nonsense. He came up hard. If you have not seen The Man Who Invented Christmas, it is on YouTube. Believe it or not, you can watch it. It's on, several other things, but that was a nice little movie they put together a couple years ago. That was on how Charles Dickens began the characters and everything, and for A Christmas Carol, and what A Christmas Carol meant at that time, because everybody was starting to lose the idea of charity and giving to each other and helping the less fortunate and the spirit of Christmas that was more than just gifts and things like that. Rob's sending me lovely. Love you too, sweetie. Um, so that's what it was about. It wasn't just how he came up in his life. Charles Dickens had to work in like a workhouse. He did black tarring, and things like that, because his father was and family was sent to debtor's prison, and he, I think 6 or 7, 8 years old, had to go and work off this debt. He saw the inside of workhouses and prisons, and the plight of the less fortunate, and the greed, and the just the total dismissal of humanity, of this me give me mine, the rich that just, the Mercedes that drives past the homeless vet, that kind of thing. Well, he had it in his time too. And when he wrote A Christmas Carol, it's pretty much a short story, even the way he wrote it. It really what came at a time when he had a lot of success, but he hadn't had anything for a hot minute, and he got this idea for this story, and it just flowed, and it has everything in it. What our purpose is here on earth, to be kind. Mankind was my business. Um, how you Marley comes back and says, "These are the chains I forged in life." Mine was built from greed and envy and money, and that's all I cared about, was making more money, when I could have been helping my neighbor, when I could have been helping someone else. I could have done so much with my life. This is my chain. What does your chain look like? Yours was this size many years ago, and you've worked on it since. These are the lessons. Each ghost that comes through the past, the Ghost of Christmas Past. How did I get this way? My character. How was my character built? Where did I go sour? They're showing Scrooge. At one time you did love. At one time that you were lonely. You knew what it was meant to be forgotten, put away in boarding school and not loved by your father, and losing your mother. You had the love of your sister. Her nephew still is alive, even though you lost her. Why can't you honor her memory by having a relationship, as an uncle with her son, who he treats badly when he comes in to wishes a Merry Christmas on Christmas Eve. And he has this great, even though he's not a rich guy, Fred the nephew really has a lot of the Christmas spirit, and so does Bob Cratchit, who makes mere pittance a week and has to raise a family. Yet you go into that family, and although Tiny Tim is sick and they're struggling for food, just being together and having traditions and doing those things really bring them joy. So it has everything in that. And when he released the book, he wanted it spectacular, and he paid an artist to do illustrations for it. He had the bindings done, in gold trim, and he really went all out. In fact, he went absolutely broke, putting it out, and he barely cut even. But it became, after the first printing, it became such a sensation, and truly put the spirit back in Christmas, because people were paying attention, and things were starting up, like the certain different charities, and people were giving, and people were singing out in the streets, because that's what they could give their voice, like the Little Drummer Boy, all of that. It really put everything back, in rolling towards this holiday that we celebrate, even though I guess it has roots in pagan things. It has roots in the Yule log, goes way back to like the Vikings and everything else, where they just brought in this big log and set it on fire, and drank and ate until it went out. They had so much surplus after the harvest, they had to get rid of everything that was going to spoil, so they just figured they'd drink and fornicate until the food was gone, and just ride out the rest of the winter. But that's basically, in a nutshell, where a lot of that comes from. But the Christmas tree, to bring in the evergreens, was huge. The evergreens, the hollies, the things that would last through a harsh winter and still stand strong and be green, and still live through all of that. The strength of those evergreens, and the things that stay green through the winter, were they were really an inspiration almost a faith in a way in those times, because they basically, the simple thing is, if the tree could survive through this, we can too, you know. And they brought that inside, and that's where the Christmas tree and bringing in hollies and cedars and things like that, pines, come from, and decorating inside for that. And then it came into Victorian times, and again in Charles Dickens' time, and it just took a big burst again after the Christmas Carol. So it was pretty cool. There was also some subtle things in the Christmas Carol. I don't know if you guys ever picked up. There is a scene in some movies, they portray it, and in some they, it's missed. Some it goes over so quick it's easy to not see. But there is a scene during it is it's basically in with where Scrooge is learning that there are other spirits out there too. And these spirits are almost bound the same way that Marley is. Marley, because he says that because he did not venture outside his counting house, that he basically just stayed between his house and where he worked and just ignored everything else, that he was kind of stuck there in life, and he was going to have to do that, that he wasn't allowed to go and, you know, venture out and around, where a lot of these other spirits, same thing. And the way that they could kind of undo some of those chains was to stay back and help the living by manipulating things and helping them out, like maybe touching the heart of someone who was going to, like a cop that was going to give somebody a ticket, and if they got that ticket they wouldn't be able to afford groceries, and would start a big snowball, where spirit might step in and maybe touch the heart of that police officer so they wouldn't give that individual a ticket, and 10,000 other scenarios you can think of. But that's these spirits in this Charles Dickens, this part he was trying to tell, were actually trying to help the living, but they were so entangled in their own chains and so caught up in their own anxiety as ghosts that they weren't able to work their energy to that craft, to being able to help, because they didn't do it in life, so it wasn't easy for them to do in death, and they were basically stuck in that purgatory until they could realize and reach out and help someone. I've had these experiences, and I've told about them here on the show, where I've seen other ghosts attach themselves to someone, trying to help that person in life not make the same mistakes they made. And once they help that person, it actually helps elevate them to another level, or maybe loosens them up, gives them a little more freedom to go do the next thing. It's so amazing how all this is connected. And for me, the Christmas Carol really puts it all together. And I wanted to share this with you real quick. I was talking today and I was wondering how many different I'm sorry, I'm looking for my homepage here. I was looking at how many different movies and things were made with, a Christmas Carol. And some of them are called Scrooge, and some of them were, the man with, no heart or something like that, the grumpiest man alive. They're all different. But in most cases, and I'm going to name a few because these are ranked in order of what they think is the best. But I just wanted to, to name a couple here because there's been so darn many. There is tonight I pinned in the comments, in the live comments there is one from 1910. It's a silent movie done, A Christmas Carol. You can watch that for free if you like, if you want to go back and see how they did it without all the bells and whistles and just stuck to the story. But it's 1910 was what the very first, other than the book and of course plays. There's one from 1935. Seymour Hicks played Scrooge. And if you saw Seymour Hicks, I don't have a picture of him, but you would recognize him. He did a great job as Scrooge, especially for a 1935 film. 2004, Kelsey Grammer played A Christmas Carol, the musical. Jim Carrey, of course, A Christmas Carol in 2009. A lot of people didn't like that. I thought it was really neat the way they did the CGI, and he played each character. It was pretty cool. Scrooge 1970 version, Albert Finney. One of my top three favorites. 1970 Albert Finney as Scrooge. Bill Murray in Scrooge, 1988. A lot of people like that because it took another look at it a different way. Reginald Owen, very good, 1938. Patrick Stewart, A Christmas Carol, 1999. Not a bad Scrooge. Basil Rathbone, The Stingiest Man in Town. That was it. And that was an Alcoa hour, 1956. Very well done. Lionel Barrymore in a 1930s radio production. And there was multiple radio productions of this. Scrooge McDuck in Mickey's Christmas Carol, 1983. Rowan Atkinson in Christmas Carol, 1988. Michael Caine in The Muppets Christmas Carol, one of the favorites of my kids growing up, 1992, that was. Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol, 1962. I remember that. That's the year I was born. My all-time favorite, it's neck and neck with Alistair Sim, but my all-time favorite because he was Patton also. George C. Scott, A Christmas Carol, 1984. And my probably my top, Alistair Sim, 1951. Of course, A Christmas Carol. There you go. That's just a few. That's just scratching the top. Yep, It's a Wonderful Life, really good. Flopped in the theater, though. It became a cult classic years and years after. It lost all the money in the theater, and they were about to shelve it. And when you know, it came out. Look at it now. You turn on any channel, and there it is, and that has a lot of good messages in it as well. But boy, the way A Christmas Carol came in that first printing and really changed everything and just kick-started whole holiday season again, and people, charities, and so many other things, people reaching out, and that turned out to be almost like a year-round thing. It really did spark so many things. So what I did for you guys tonight, it's 40 minutes if you want to stay with it. If not, I'm going to probably premiere it as a standalone on Tuesday night. But I thought, since you all are here, and if you don't have any place to go, I'd love it if you'd stay with me. If you have to go, thank you so much for being here tonight. I have to work extra this week. We are going to be on tomorrow night with Steve. We are doing head scratchers and some fun stuff. But for the holiday season, I wanted to put something together for you guys. I've been working on a couple weeks. It takes a lot of time to put all these little pieces together. But what I did was I took CBS Mystery Theater, A Christmas Carol, adapted for the radio show from Charles Dickens, of course. And I tried to put in every Christmas Carol made from cartoon to movie in different ways throughout the entire show. If not, Lindsay, you could come back and finish it tomorrow. It's okay, sweetie. And Ted, I know you got to go night as well. So it will be released as a premiere, like probably Tuesday night or Wednesday night if I can. But I'm going to go ahead and put this on tonight. I'm going to be here watching it with you tonight in the chat. And I hope you enjoy it. I tried, like I said, I've got everybody from Scrooge McDuck to a couple of the cartoons. But something I'm very proud of is I went out and found most of these. You're going to see the illustrations that were in the original first printing by the artist that Charles Dickens held out for and paid a pretty penny to get. So I really love those illustrations too, and you can tell they're forget what they used to call them. They weren't silver carvings or the print, the way they did it. They carved them in and then they printed it, and it's quite amazing, stunning illustrations by this artist. So here you are. I present to you CBS Mystery Theater, A Christmas Carol, with E.G. Marshall playing Scrooge. And as he says, bah humbug. I love you all. Happy holidays. You're welcome, Lindsay, baby.
Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. This is a very special occasion for me. I'm to be a little more than your host. This time, I will not only be introducing the story, but telling it to you, acting it out. The Mystery Theater's special Christmas story this year, Charles Dickens' immortal classic, A Christmas Carol, with Guess Who as Scrooge. Bah, humbug.
I think so, Vixen.
Our mystery drama, A Christmas Carol, was adapted from the Charles Dickens classic especially for the Mystery Theater by Ian Martin. It is sponsored in part by Contact, the 12-hour cold capsule. I'll be back shortly with Act One.
Take your Contact, take it now. Give your cold to Contact.
Before you choose a cold medicine, you should know that no cold tablet, no cold liquid has found the way to give you Contact's continuous relief. One Contact works up to 12 hours. Helps relieve all your congestive symptoms. All day, all night. That's the wonder of Contact.
Give your cold to Contact.
Take only as directed.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Gregory Peck. With original designs and paintings contributed by leading artists of every continent, UNICEF greeting cards are a beautiful way to give, available all over the world through voluntary non-profit organizations. When you buy UNICEF greeting cards, you're helping to feed, clothe, and educate needy children. Help the children of the world through UNICEF, the United Nations Children's Fund.
Good night, Anna. Good night, gatekeepers. I love y'all.
The Christmas Carol begins like this. Marley was dead to begin with. There is no doubt about that whatever. The register of his burial was signed by the clergyman, the clerk, the undertaker, and the chief mourner. Scrooge signed it. Old Marley was dead as a doornail. Ebenezer Scrooge? Oh, he was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone, hard and sharp as flint, from which no steel had ever struck out generous fire. Solitary as an oyster, he iced his office in the dog days and didn't thaw it out 1 degree, even at Christmas.
A Merry Christmas, Uncle. God save you.
It's you, nephew. What brings you here on a miserable, cold, windy night like tonight?
Cold and windy, yes, and the snow falling softly. A perfect Christmas Eve to say, Merry Christmas, Uncle.
Bah! Humbug.
Christmas a humbug? Oh, you don't mean that, I'm sure.
I do. Merry Christmas. What right have you to be merry, or the world at large? What reason have you yourself to be merry? You're poor enough.
Oh, come then. What reason have you to be dismal? What reason have you to be morose? You're rich enough.
Don't you taunt me, Fred. Bah! Don't indulge yourself in expectations. Humbug.
Take me as I am, Uncle, and as the season is, and don't be cross.
Where else can I be when I live in a world of fools? Christmas. Phooey. What's Christmas time to you but a time for paying bills without money? Time for finding yourself a year older and not an hour richer. If I could work my will, every idiot who goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips should be boiled in his own plum pudding and buried with a stake of holly to his heart.
Oh, come along, Uncle. Can you not let down for once and enjoy yourself?
Come along, nephew. Keep Christmas in your own way. Let me keep it in mine.
Yes, but you don't keep it.
Leave me alone, then. Much good it may do you. Much good has it ever done you?
Oh, there are a lot of things, Uncle, from which I've never profited. Christmas among the rest. Except that when it comes around, who can resist it? A kind of forgiving time of year when men and women seem by one consent to open up their hearts freely. So then I say, Uncle, though it never put a scrap of silver or gold in my pocket, I believe it has and will do me good, and so I say, God bless it.
Who's that? What's all that there?
I'm sorry, Mr. Scrooge. It's just that it is a holiday, and my hands were so cold.
Just let me hear another word from you, Bob Cratchit, and you'll keep your Christmas by losing your employment.
Oh, please, sir, I humbly beg your pardon. It was just an action on the spur of the moment.
Just apply the spur to goad you into finishing your work, Cratchit. And let's hear no more from you.
Yes, sir.
Well, nephew, why are you here?
To ask you to dine with us tomorrow.
Dine with you? Never. There's nothing more ridiculous than all the fuss and expense over Christmas dinner.
Oh, Uncle, I want and ask nothing from you. Why can't we be friends?
Good afternoon.
And with all my heart, I'm sorry to find you so resolute. But at least, I wish you a Merry Christmas.
Good afternoon.
And a Happy New Year.
Good afternoon. And be sure to make the front door fast. No wasting of heat here. No extra logs on the fire.
Yes, Uncle. Mr. Cratchit.
Yes, sir.
May I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
The first I am sure of, and I thank you. The other...
Who knows what the future holds? Be of good hope.
The nerve of all of them. My nephew, Westwell, and Bob Cratchit on 15 shillings a week with a wife and family talking about a Merry Christmas. Enough to make a man retire to Bedlam. They're all mad.
Begging your pardon, Mr. Scrooge, a gentleman to see you.
Yes.
Scrooge and Marley's, I believe. Have I the honor of addressing Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Marley?
Mr. Marley's been dead for 7 years. He died 7 years ago this very night.
Ah, sad. Sad indeed. Still, I have no doubt his liberality is well represented by his surviving partner.
Liberality?
At this festive season, it is more than usually desirable that we all make some slight provision for the poor and destitute. You may make your pledge here.
Are there no prisons?
We speak of the needy.
The union workhouses are not still in operation.
They are. I wish I could say they were not. A few of us private citizens are endeavoring to raise a fund to buy the poor some meat and drink and means of warmth. What shall I put you down for, Mr. Scrooge?
Nothing.
Of course, you wish to be anonymous?
I wish to be left alone. By tax, I help to support the establishments we have mentioned. They cost enough and more. Let those who are badly off go there.
Many can't go there. And many would rather die.
If they would rather die, then let them do so and decrease the surplus population. Good afternoon, sir, whatever your name is.
I find you hard to believe, Mr. Scrooge.
Cratchit, let him out. Close the door, Cratchit, to extinguish what coals remain.
Yes, sir. No, sir.
Come here.
Coming, Mr. Scrooge.
You'll want all day tomorrow, I suppose.
If quite convenient, sir.
It's not convenient, and it's not fair. If I was to stop half a crown for it, you'd think yourself ill-used, I'd be bound.
Well, sir,
And yet you don't think me ill-used when I pay a day's wages for no work.
I would not presume to have an opinion, but then it is only one day a year.
A poor excuse for picking a man's pocket every 25th of December. But I suppose I have no choice. You must have the whole day. Just make sure you are here earlier the following morning. I dined my usual melancholy dinner in the usual melancholy tavern. Afterwards, climbed the stairs to my living quarters in the gloom. Something about my door knocker stopped me as I was about to put key in lock. For one strange moment, it looked like Molly. Ghostly spectacles turned up on its ghostly forehead. To say that I was not startled would not be strictly true. And even after I was entered and locked in and my candle lit, I did pause irresolutely before I dismissed it with humbug. Humbug. Still, I was uneasy. Trimming my candle, I walked through all my rooms to make sure all was well. Sitting room, bedroom, lumber room, all as it should be. Small fire in the grate, spoon and basin ready, little saucepan of gruel, since I had a cold. What's that? The front door. The side door. The bell by my bed. The one on the mantel and on the sideboard.
What do they herald? Who rings them? The cellar door. And that noise. What? I won't believe it. Hey, I say there is humbug still. Grim Spectre, what do you want with me?
Much.
Who are you?
Ask me who I was.
Who were you then?
In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley. You don't believe in
I
me?
don't.
Why do you doubt your senses?
Because a little thing affects them. A slight disorder of the stomach makes them cheats. You may be a bit of undigested beef, a blot of mustard, a crumb of cheese, a fragment of underdone potato. There's more of gravy about you than the grave, wherever you are. Humbug, I tell you, humbug.
Unbeliever! So, I unwrapped the bandages from about my head to reveal the rotting flesh, the jaw fallen slackly to my breast, the muscles eaten long since by worms. Now, do you believe me for who and what I am?
Yes, oh, mercy, dread apparition. Why do you trouble me?
I must.
But why are you fettered and bound in chains?
I wear the chain I forged in life. I made it, link by link. I girded it on of my own free will. Is its pattern so strange to you? Or would you learn the weight and length of the coil you wear yourself? It was full and as heavy and as long as mine these 7 Christmas Eves ago. And you have labored on it since. My once partner in life, what a ponderous chain you have built to drag you down in death.
No, Jacob. Oh, Jacob Marley, speak some comfort to me.
I have none to give. I cannot stay. I cannot linger anywhere. My spirit never walked beyond our counting house in life. So, in death, weary journeys lie before me.
7 years dead and traveling all the time?
No rest, no peace. The incessant torture of remorse. I am here tonight, Ebenezer, to warn you that you have yet a hope of escaping my fate.
Oh, you were always a good friend, Sankey.
You will be haunted by 3 spirits.
That is the hope you mentioned?
It is.
I think I'd rather not.
Without their visits, you have no hope but to shun the path I tread. Expect the first tomorrow, when the bell tolls 1.
But couldn't I take them all at once and have it over?
Expect the second on the next night at the same hour. The third, when the last stroke of 12 has ceased to vibrate on your mantle clock. And for your own sake, remember what has passed between us. Passed between us.
Jacob, do not leave me yet. But he was gone, as if he had never been. And yet, he had been. And Ebenezer Scrooge would never be the same man again.
He fell asleep without undressing upon the instant. A sleep that was destined to be disturbed, as I shall relate when I return with Act 2. When Scrooge awoke, it was dark, and the chimes of a neighborhood church were striking the 4 quarters. To his amazement, they were followed by 12 strokes of the bell. 12? Impossible. It was 2 when he went to bed.
possible I could have slept through a whole day and far into another night. As I lay, I suddenly remembered that Marley had said a ghost would visit me at 1. Who are you?
I am the ghost of Christmas past.
Long past?
Your past. Don't you recognize me?
A strange figure, almost like a child. The outlines dimly seen. It wore a tunic of purest white and a branch of fresh green holly in its hand, in singular contradiction to the dress, which was trimmed with summer flowers. But strangest of all, above its crown sprang a bright, clear jet of light, which illuminated the darkest corner, but obscured the face. And under its arm, a cap, which looked for all the world like a candle snuffer. For some reason, I wanted it to put on its cap. The light is blinding. Would you not put on your cap?
Would you so soon put out with worldly hands the light I shed? Is it not enough that you are the one who fashioned me this cap and forced me to wear it low upon my brow?
I? What business brings you here?
Your welfare.
Well, if you would regard my welfare, you would leave my sleep unbroken.
Your reclamation, then. Take heed. Rise and walk with me.
I cannot resist your command, but I am an old man, lightly clad and nursing a cold to boot.
Do not deny me. Come. Follow me.
All of a sudden, I was flying, floating on air. The night had vanished as the city below me, and I was looking down on the country in the clear, cold light of day, with snow dusting the ground. Good heavens! I was bred in this place. I was a boy here.
Your lip is trembling. What is that upon your cheek?
Nothing. Nothing. The wind makes my eyes water. Lead me where you will.
Do you not remember the way?
Remember it. I could walk it blindfold.
Strange to have forgotten it so many years. Let us set our feet on the road.
I will not tell you most of where we wandered as time stood still or raced ahead at a whim. The school where I was a child. The house I grew up in, an orphan. A terrible rush of tears remembering another outcast, a foreigner, an alien who in our mutual loneliness had once befriended me. Poor Ali Baba. It's too late now.
What is too late?
Nothing. There was a boy singing a Christmas carol at my door last night. I should like to have given him something, that's all.
What might have been. Let us see another Christmas.
What's that?
Your aunt, who brought you up, passed away.
Oh,
no. A delicate creature whom a breath might have withered. But she had a large heart.
Amen to that. I will not gainsay it, Spirit.
When she died, she had, I think, children.
One child.
True. Your nephew.
Yes. We traveled further, scenes flashing by like slides in a magic lantern. Old Fezziwig in his Welsh wig, my first employer. His Christmas parties with a groaning table and everyone dancing with a light foot and heart to the festive music. His kind wife and the joy of working at a desk one wasn't nailed to. And then someone I had shut away so long ago.
What is it, Scrooge?
That girl.
Whom you shall sit beside.
No.
Oh, yes. This shadow most of all. Don't you remember me?
I told you the light blinds me.
Then remember me as I was, before you put my light out.
No tears, I beg you.
None. If the idol who has replaced me can cheer and comfort you, I must not grieve.
What idol?
A golden one. Nothing but gain engrosses you.
So, if I have grown wiser, I am not changed toward you.
Our marriage contract was made...
Thank you, darling. Merry Christmas to you, sister. I hope you're feeling good tonight. I hope this puts some smiles on your face, makes you feel warm and cozy inside, like hot chocolate with marshmallows floating on top, or with 3-cat night under a warm blanket. There you go. I love you, baby. Merry Christmas, everybody. I hope you're enjoying it. Man, I was spot on with some of these pictures, wasn't I? I'm like, whoa, man, that looked good. I'm just laughing. Here you go. Enjoy.
When we were both poor, you are changed. When it was made, you were another man.
I was a boy.
Whatever you were, I freely offer you your release.
Have I ever sought it?
In words? Never.
How then?
In a changed nature. In everything that made my love of any worth or value in your sight. And so I release you with a full heart for the love of what once you were. May you be happy in the life you've chosen.
Now I recognize you, Spirit, and why you've come back to haunt me. Torture me no more.
Some shadows still to see.
No, I can bear it no longer. Haunt me no longer. The light you shine is too bright for my eyes to bear. Give me your cap so I may extinguish it, and you. In a puff of smoke, the figure was gone, and I had barely time to reel to my bed, exhausted from the long night's travels, where I fell into a heavy sleep. What's that? The clock ticking away. Awake in the night of time. Almost one. When the second messenger Marley sends me from the grave will arrive. What ghastly shape might he take? What hideous form? What torture might this one plan for me? At least I am prepared for anything. Well, prepared for anything but nothing. Hello there, Spirit. Are you invisible to me? What's that? That great light from beneath my sitting room door. Here's a fearful waste of light, a shocking extravagance. I must go in and douse these candles. Yet I'm afraid to enter.
Scrooge. Ebenezer Scrooge. Stop skulking there behind your bedroom door. Enter, man. Enter.
Why, here's a prodigal spending of light in a great roaring blaze hot enough to set the chimney flue on fire.
Look well on me. Have you never seen the like of me before?
Never.
It is time your eyes were opened to this and other things.
Spirit, I will be no trouble. Conduct me where you will. I went forth last night on compulsion, and I learned a lesson which is working now. Tonight, if you have aught to teach me, let me profit by it.
Hold fast to my robe.
In the blink of an eye, we were transported to a mean and shabby little house, threadbare but clean as a new washed shirt, and redolent of the mouth-watering smell of goose, basking in sage and onion, and aromas of an eating house and pastry cooks next together, which came from the Christmas pudding.
Whatever has got your precious father, then, and your brother, Tiny Tim? I never remember him, Martha, as late as this on Christmas, dear.
What a place is this?
House of your clerk, Bob Cratchit. See, here he comes now.
That child he carries on his shoulder with a little crutch in his hand, and his lower limbs bound in an iron cage.
The youngest of the Cratchits, Tiny Tim.
Why, look at him struggle after the others as his father sets him down. Where are they off to?
Watch one of the merriest sights of this merriest of seasons. The golden goose turn on the spit. Shh. Listen.
How late you are, my dear, and how cold.
well.
Come sit you down by the fire and have a warm. Lord bless you.
After I've had a look at that goose, too.
First, tell me, How did Tiny Tim behave through the service?
Oh, as good as gold and better.
Oh.
Somehow he gets thoughtful sitting by himself so much and thinks the strangest things you ever heard.
I know. What was it this time?
He told me coming home he hoped everyone in the church saw him because he was a cripple.
Oh.
Because it might be pleasant to them to remember upon Christmas Day who it was made lame beggars walk and blind men see.
Bob. Bob. Oh, I feel so much for you.
No. You must not, my dear. Remember the day. Come, let's join the others.
Tell me, Spirit, will Tiny Tim live?
I see a vacant seat in the poor chimney corner, and a little crutch without an owner. If these shadows remain unaltered by the future, the child will die.
Oh, no, kind Spirit. Spare him.
That from you, recall your own words. If he be like to die, he had better do it and decrease the surplus population.
Oh, I am ashamed.
And should be, man, if you be man at heart, forbear that wicked cant until you have discovered what the surplus is and where it is. Listen.
A toast before we eat to Mr. Scrooge.
To me?
I'll give you Mr. Scrooge, the founder of the feast.
The founder of the feast, indeed. Oh, I wish I had him here. I'd give him a piece of my mind to feast upon, and I'd hope he'd have a good appetite for it.
Oh, my dear, the children, Christmas Day.
Well, I'll bring to his health for your sake and the day's, not for his. Long life to him. A Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Oh, you'll be very merry and very happy, I've no doubt.
And now, a Merry Christmas to us all, my dears. God bless us. God bless us, everyone.
Yes, Merry.
My very name cast a pall upon their happiness.
But mark you on the wealth of spirit among them, which thought kindly on a man with as little spirit as yours.
In particular, that poor little lad, Tiny Tim. Did you notice how generous he was to end the toast with, God bless us, everyone, including even me? What a valiant little soul, in spite of all his handicaps.
Perhaps your eyes are opening at last. But come, you have more to learn.
Where now?
Your nephew's house.
He said that Christmas was a humbug. As I live, he believed it, too.
More shame for him, Fred, that my uncle-in-law should speak so.
Well, he's a comical old fellow, not so pleasant as he might be.
Oh, yes.
However, his offenses carry their own punishment, and I have nothing to say against him. And I will have no downturned mouths at this season. So here is a glass of mulled wine to our hands. Let's drink to the old man.
Well, he has given us plenty of merriment at that. So, to Uncle Scrooge.
A Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to the old man, whatever he is. He wouldn't take it from me, but may he have it nevertheless. To Uncle Scrooge.
To Uncle Scrooge.
No, wait. Let me go to them. Explain.
Too late for me. The hour grows too late. Away.
Where stand we now? This open place.
A crossroads where I must leave you.
Oh, forgive me what I ask, but I see something strange protruding from the skirt of your robe.
That might be a claw for all the flesh there is upon it.
Yes.
Then see what you must see.
From the sanctuary came forth a boy and a girl, yellow, meager, ragged, scowling, wolfish, but prostrate, too, in their humility. I started back appalled. Spirit, are these yours?
They are man's. The boy is ignorance, the girl is want. Beware of them both and all of their degree, but most of all beware this boy, for on his brow I see written doom, unless the writing can be erased. My time is sounding.
Wait. Have these pitiful creatures no refuge or resource?
I answer in your own words. Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses?
Hold for one moment. Help me. Where should I turn?
Turn and face your future. The black phantom that approaches you now. Face your future. Your future.
As the last stroke of the bell struck 12, Scrooge turned to face a dread figure, a solemn phantom, draped and hooded in blacks and deep grays, coming, creeping like the mist about it towards him. I'll return with Act 3 very shortly.
Ted, you cheeky monkey, you happy Christmas, brother. Thank you so much. Thank you from my furry babies to your furry baby family and your entire family and this wonderful chat. This is great spending this with you. This is my favorite part of Christmas so far. Susan, I wish you love, darling. I hope you are warm and snug. You hug those babies for me too. And just relax. You're here with friends and all warm energy and healing energy in your direction for Susan. And Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Festival of Lights, Happy Festivus for the rest of us. Enjoy the rest of the show. I love you all. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Ted. Thank you, love. Big hugs.
The last phantom silently, slowly, gravely approached. It was shrouded in a deep black garment, which concealed its head, its face, its form, and left nothing of it visible save one outstretched hand, which served as its only voice, for the spirit neither spoke nor moved.
I am in the presence of the ghost of Christmas yet to come. You answer not, but point where we are to go. Lead on, spirit, and I will follow. A great black cloud gathered me and carried me willy-nilly to the streets. Its shroud, like the figure that stood by me, hung about me as I listened to two gentlemen talking in the street.
So, Mr. Grimes, old Scratch has got his own at last.
I have been so informed, Mr. Goodfellow. When did he die?
Last night, I believe.
What on earth could he have caught? I thought he'd never die.
God knows. Why should I care?
What has he done with his money?
Heaven knows. Not left to charity, and certainly not to me. Left to his company, perhaps.
Oh, God knows he appears not to have had any sort of personal tie.
By which token, it's like to be a very cheap funeral. For upon my life, I cannot think of anybody to go to it.
How dismal and awful to dismiss another human being in such terms. Forgive me, dread ghost. I did not mean to diverge. You wish to reveal something to me? You have my full attention.
Fred, the news is bad.
Bad?
We are quite ruined.
Oh, no, there's hope for us yet.
If he relents. If he forgives or forgave, there might have been. Ah, but it is too late for the miracle.
Poor, old, miserable boy. He's past relenting. He's dead.
No, wait, spirit, wait. I'm not ready to leave. What else would you have me look on?
Tell me again about today. About little Tim on the grave.
It would have done you good to see how green a place it is. But you'll see it often. I promised him I would walk there every other Sunday.
My last born. My poor little broken child.
Oh, please. I shall break down with you.
Oh, my darling, we can all try to be brave, but how can we hide our sorrow? What is more final and dreadful than death?
I want to help, Spectre, but something informs me that our parting moment is at hand. Tell me, what man was it I saw lying dead? Very well. You point. Where to this time? A churchyard. And here we are. A headstone. You would have me read it? Tell me, are these the shadows of things that will be or may be only? Oh, my own name, Ebenezer Scrooge. Spirit, hear me. I am not the man I was. I will not be the man I must have been from all this intercourse. Why show me this if I am past all hope? For once, you make no motion. Your nature intercedes for me and pities me. Good Spirit, I will honor Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all the year. The three spirits shall strive within me. I will not shut out the lessons that they teach. Oh, tell me I may sponge away the writing on this stone. Give me your hand, I beg you. Give me your hand. I hold you to me. You cannot disappear. You cannot disappear. Well, bless my soul. What I cling to is my own bedpost. And wait. Perhaps my time is my own to make amends in. Yes, I will live in the past, in the present, and the future. The spirits of all three shall strive within me. Oh, Jacob Marley, heaven and Christmas time be praised for this. I say it on my knees, oh Jacob, on my knees. I don't know what to do. I'm as light as a feather, and I am as happy as an angel. I'm as merry as a schoolboy. I'm as giddy as a drunken man. A Merry Christmas to everyone. A Happy New Year to all the world. Hello there. Oh, hello. Oh, there's the saucepan the ghoul was in. There's the door by which the ghost of Jacob Marley entered. There's the corner where I saw the wandering spirits. It's all right. It's true. It all happened. Oh, my God, I don't know how long I've been among the spirits. I'm a baby. I don't know what month it is. Throw open the window and rejoin the world. Hey, Mr. Grimes, what's today?
Why, Christmas Day.
Christmas Day! I haven't missed it. The spirits have done it all in one night. They can do what they like. Of course they can. Hello, my fine fellow.
Hello. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. Do you still run the poulterer's shop in the next street but one, at the corner?
I should hope I did, on my way to open up.
Oh, pray then, Mr. Grimes, do I dare hope you have not yet sold the prize turkey that was hanging up there? Not the little prize turkey, the big prize turkey.
The one as big as an ostrich?
Oh, a delightful man, a pleasure to talk to him. Yes, Mr. Grimes.
It is hanging there now.
Well, what are we waiting for? I want to buy it. Bring it here that I may give directions where to take it. Send back your boy and I'll give him a shilling. Have him bring it back in less than 5 minutes and I'll give him half a crown. Better still, here's a £5 note. Send him to deliver the turkey to Mr. Cratchit by cab at the address I give you. And what's left shall be your Christmas present and his. Shaving was not an easy task, for my hand was shaking, and shaving demands attention. At last it was finished, and I dressed myself in all my best and issued forth to the streets. The first person I met was a portly gentleman who had walked into my counting house the day before, saying, Scrooge and Marley's, I believe. I hastened to intercept him. My dear sir, how do you do? I beg your pardon. I hope you succeeded yesterday. A Merry Christmas to you, sir.
Mr. Scrooge?
That is my name.
I fear not pleasant to you. Allow me to ask your pardon, and will you have the goodness to allow me to contribute? May I have your ear, sir?
Lord bless me. So much. My dear Mr. Scrooge, are you really serious?
If you please. Not a farthing less. Will you do me that favor?
Oh, my dear sir, I don't know what to say to
Well,
such
don't say anything. Come and see me. Will you come and see me?
I will indeed.
Thank you. I thank you 50 times. Bless you.
Merry Christmas. By all that's holy, is it you, Uncle?
Me, Fred. You did ask me to dinner. Am I too late to take up the invitation?
Too late?
Will you let me in?
Will I let you in? Why, here's the merriest turn a Christmas can take, darling wife. Here's Uncle Scrooge to share our Christmas. Isn't that a present for this day?
You couldn't have brought Fred a better one. Welcome to our home, Uncle.
For only the first of many times, I hope. It's a whole new year.
Yes, and you may spend it all with us if you will.
Only today, for I must be in the office as early as can be. No. Don't steal glances at each other. It isn't business on my mind, but recompense. And since at last I have learned to laugh, I want to have my first joke with the man I have perhaps wronged most all of these years. My faithful Bob Cratchit. A wonderful day. An evening with my nephew. A deep sleep that might have lasted for days, except that I was bound and determined to be earlier than my clerk at the counting house that Monday morning. I was as pleased as a child when I beat him there. Even more pleased to find that for once he was late. When the door opened and he came in, he was a full 18½ minutes behind his time. His hat and scarf were off before he opened the door. In terror of the man I had been, he was on his stool in a jiffy, writing his pen as if he were trying to overtake the lost minutes.
Morning, Mr. Scrooge.
Morning. A little late for that. What do you mean by coming here this time of day?
I am very sorry, sir. I am behind time.
You are? Yes, I think you are. Now, step this way, sir, if you please.
It's only once a year, sir. It shall not be repeated. I was making rather merry yesterday, sir.
Now, I'll tell you what, my friend. I'm not going to stand by this sort of thing any longer. And therefore, I feel myself forced to raise your salary.
Huh? Why, Mr. Scrooge, sir, do you feel all right?
Merry Christmas, Bob. A merrier Christmas than I have given you for many a year. Not only raise your salary, but discuss your affairs and endeavor to help your struggling family over a Christmas bowl of smoking bishop. So make up the fires till they hot us right out of the counting house before you dot another I, Bob Cratchit. It's not only a new year, but a whole new world for both of us.
As we all know, Scrooge was better than his word. He did it all. And to Tiny Tim, who did not die, he was a second father. And he made a good new will for his nephew and his future partner, Bob Cratchit. One thing after a long life he took to his grave, that he knew how to keep Christmas well. May it be truly said of all of us, and as Tiny Tim observed, God bless us, everyone. What more is there to say after Dickens' Christmas Carol, except the eternal message it brings, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Our cast included Marion Seldes, Ian Martin, Evie Juster, Robert Dryden, and William Redfield. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown.
Well, there you go, guys. Merry Christmas. Thank you for all of the wonderful super chats. On your way out, please hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I hope we made your holiday just a little bit warmer and you got some warm hugs and some smiles. Rob Gutro is just the best. I highly recommend all his books and his readings. Don't forget his email, and terrific person. And Charles Dickens and Mr. Dickens and everybody in this chat and everybody who is close to you and everybody that you love. May they have a wonderful holiday season. We'll be back with you tomorrow night with the wonderful and illustrious Steve Stockton for Head Scratchers. And take a break from your Christmas and Hanukkah and gift giving and gift buying and spend some time with us, and we'll talk about some crazy stuff, some ghost videos and some stories and some mysteries and a little bit of everything for Monday Madness tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern. And thank you guys so much for being here tonight. I hope this gave you some smiles. I love you. Some animals on the way out, and we're out of here. See you tomorrow night. Happy holidays, everybody. I hope you get all your wishes come true. And maybe a little coal in your stocking, too, for some of you out there. Cheeky monkeys. Merry Christmas. I love y'all. You betcha, baby. Good night. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. That cat on the vacuum is my favorite.